Alright, so Andrew, thanks very much for coming in. I don't think you need any introduction, but maybe if you start us off with telling us how you got into swimming and what maybe chose you to, or encouraged you to choose it over other sports.
Well, they say the old phrase in swimming is you didn't pick swimming, swimming picked you, you know, in terms of like the kind of esoteric life journey. We got into it because my mum's from Galway, dad's from Sligo, and then when my mum was younger, she was in the swimming pool and she nearly drowned. She went up, and you know that when they say you go up and down 3 times, and after the third time you go under. So she got to like the third time going up for air. And I think the lifeguard seen her and rescued her. And then she said from that day onwards, you know, if she ever had children, they would all learn how to swim.
Yeah.
You know, so that was the kind of catalyst. And then when we moved, my dad was with the Bank of Ireland, and then when we moved up to Northern Ireland, we moved to a small town called Newtown Ards, or Ards for short. And my mum says we need to be near the pool, the school, and the church. And those are the three. Those are the 3 things we needed to live near. So that's how it started. And I just started swimming in Ards when I think I was about 4 or 5 years old. Just kind of learned to swim and kind of just got into the program and then just developed through. And mum and dad didn't really pay any attention to it. We have 5 children in the family, you know, 4 boys and 1 girl. And Dennis, my older brother, myself and David would go every Thursday. And mum and dad didn't really pay any attention, just drop us off at the pool on a Thursday, and that was it. And then the coach, I think after a couple of years or a year and a half or whatever it was, you know, came up to my mum and said, you know, will you show a bit of interest here? Andrew's got a really good feel for the water, and, you know, he could go on and swim. Yeah. And that's how it started. Yeah. And now I'm here. It just all happened so quick.
So you obviously grew up in Northern Ireland during the Troubles. Was swimming kind of a way for you to get away from any kind of trouble that there might have been going on in your area, or whatever?
No, well, luckily we were kind of sheltered. Not sheltered, but we lived outside Belfast. You know, my dad would have experienced it more because he worked in the Bank of Ireland in Belfast, and then there would have been curfews and stuff, you know, 6 p.m. and stuff. There was always, they kind of cleared out the city. Not many people would have been in the city in the evenings. And that's what I said to someone when I was in America one time. I was in Los Angeles, and I was speaking to this person, and she was from here. She was from Dundonald. She's a pretty famous actress now. And I said to her, "Oh, sure, I didn't really see the Troubles. Or I don't know how I said it, but I was like, oh, they didn't really affect me or something." And she just turned really kind of aggressive with me, and she's like, "What do you mean it didn't affect you?" And she goes, "It was on the news every night. You know, you were constantly being reminded, 6 p.m. news, 9 p.m. news, about different things, bombings and shootings and stuff like that." So the only thing I kind of experienced was there was a bomb that was set off in the town we were from, but they had given a warning. And I remember being at home that day, and the kind of glass was shaking, and we were like 2 or 3 miles outside the town, and the glass was shaking, and that was the kind of the experience I felt from it. But I went to a pretty very similar school to this, you know, very private school, kind of a prestigious school, and there was never any divide, if that makes sense. Yeah. You know, it was just everybody was there to, you know, we were taught, and we were very respectful of each other, so there was no real Catholic Protestant type thing for me. So not that I was sheltered, I definitely experienced it, but the swimming was, again, I think across the world is kind of universal, that it's acceptance of everyone. There's never really you know, sometimes in football and stuff there's maybe Catholic side or Protestant side, but in swimming it was everyone, you know. So I never felt that it kind of stopped us from swimming, or it was, you know, an escape. It was just kind of a way of life.
Yeah, I get you. So then with school and all that kind of stuff, were you good in school, or was it all really just swimming that you were kind of focused on?
It was pretty much swimming. It was more of academics. I liked them. I do like academics if I'm into it, you know. No, it was swimming. It was swimming for me. You know, and the school were very good my last few years, getting ready for my A-levels. You know, I would swim in the morning. That's when I kind of really stepped up my training. And instead of being in at 8:30 for, you know, what do they call it, roll call or registration or something, you know, I was able to go back and get a 45-minute nap or an hour nap, have some good breakfast, and then come in maybe at about 10. Because
Okay.
we were only up north, we only study 3 subjects, whereas in the Leaving Cert it's like 100.
Yeah.
So it was only 3 subjects, so my classes were kind of spread out throughout the day. And, Campbell College in Belfast, they were very, very good to me in terms of letting me, develop my swimming, because I just made the Commonwealth Games, so I was starting to build into my international career.
Yeah.
I think they seen that, and they were very helpful.
And what year did you finish school in? Was it
1999?
So it was the year before you went to Sydney.
Vaccinations down to the canteen, please.
Just ask what year did you finish school
staff, please,
again?
All right,
go
yeah.
through them a little bit faster than we might have thought. So staff, if you're interested in getting the vaccinations, okay, you probably need to go down.
Want to get vaccinated?
At the end of this class, I'd say. Okay, thank you.
So what year did you finish school in?
So 1999 I finished.
So the year before you went to Sydney.
Sydney, yeah.
And were they, so obviously you said they were kind of good to you in your preparation coming up to that, but how was
Yes.
your life kind of different from before when you were getting ready to go to Sydney, or was that always an aim of yours?
Yeah, it was like, so I swam in the Commonwealth Games the year before in 1998
Yeah.
when I was like I think it was 17. Yeah, I was 18 when I left school, 19 when I went to Sydney, yeah. So I swam that, so that was kind of my international kind of big debut on that scene. And then when I finished school in the summer of 99, that following September, I packed my bags and moved to Australia and lived with my dad's cousin and his family, and then trained with a guy called Michael Bole, who's now considered probably the best coach in the world, and he's actually been in Australia since the last 25 years, and now he's been employed by China to help their swimmers, and he's been paid big money to do that. So I just embedded myself in his club team, and that was it. Trained outdoors twice a day, every day for a year, and then went to the Australian Olympic trials in that May, swam the heat, so wasn't allowed to swim anything else, and then posted a time, and then that was good enough for the Olympic Council to verify. It was back then, it was a B time, it wasn't the A, the FINA A, the way there's two times. So there was only myself, Colin Louth, Chantal Gibney, and I think that was it. There was only Emma Robinson. There was only 3 of us four of us that ended up making the team.
To go to Sydney?
Yeah. And of course then I arrived out there because obviously I'd been in Australia, so I was used to the kind of hype coming up to it.
Yeah.
But I was still 19, so I was going into the village going, what do you mean there's a free McDonald's? It was just like, just bright-eyed, just looking around going, what, you could just see all these like famous sports people and stuff. You're like, huh? What? So it was kind of like, I didn't get caught up in it too much. I knew I probably wasn't going to be good enough to make finals and stuff, but of course that doesn't come into your mind either.
Yeah.
I think I was about a 2:18. Do you know? But I'd probably have to be about a 2:15 or 16 to make it back to the kind of semi-finals to progress through. So I swam, and my whole family came out. My brother Dennis was out there, and my mum, my dad, David. Yeah, they all came out, all got tickets. So it was more of such an experience for them to be there, because we were all just like, we're at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of hard work, and you all know yourself with it. And Mick beside me here coaching, it's day in, day out, isn't it? It's a long journey.
And it is non-stop, you see, and that's what a lot of people who aren't familiar with the sport don't see. Like, even just taking David there now, like every single morning in the water from 5:30 until 7:30. And that's just your in-pool training time. And then you've got evening sessions, and you've got your few gym sessions thrown in throughout the week. But in between all of that, you've got to manage school, you've got to manage yourself physically, mentally. You've got to watch what you're eating, how you're hydrating. You've got to be very aware of how you're resting and recovering at all times. So, like, you were 19, qualifying for the Olympics in Sydney. Like, you were just out of school, like, and at that age, everything is kind of like eyes open wide. Oh my God, this is mad! Like, it is a lot to deal with. Yeah. And I know you had made the Commonwealth Games the year before, which was an experience in itself. But now you're going to the pinnacle of sport over on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
And it's one thing going over there to train, but going over there to compete at the Olympics is just at 19.
Yeah, it was big. And then, of course, you don't realise when you're in the bubble of it. And then, you don't realise, and then it's like, I kind of gave it some deep thought the other day, because I seen some posts on Instagram, and it was about, like, a family member or a sibling doing really well, and how the whole dynamics. And my brother is a stand-up comedian. My brother Richie Bree is a stand-up comedian. His one of his opening jokes was, "It's not easy being the brother of a 2-time Olympian." He says, "I can't even get out of the bath," type stuff. I can't even swim. I can't, and then suddenly, but when you look back at, you take out the kind of joke of it, but you look back and, like, the whole family dynamics was based around swimming.
Yeah.
We were all going swimming in the morning, and then it was like, and then, were we going on family holidays? No, because Andrew's swimming over in Europe, or, so and you don't think about that. So it must have been pretty difficult for, my younger siblings. But then my older brother Dennis told me there recently, and he's really successful. He lives in New York. He worked for Twitter. He's in the world of blockchain now and crypto and all that stuff. And he's just like, I know, but, like, it spurred us on to be better.
Yeah.
Not to be like, "Hey mom, hey dad, I'm here, show me some attention," but it was just like, okay, you've dedicated your craft and you've now got to this level. Now we're going to do that. And then my brother Dave is successful. He's got a swim school in Australia. My sister is a solicitor in Dublin, and Richie's killing it on the comedy scene now. He's pretty big on the Irish scene, and hoping to bring it further. So I hope in that way it was inspiring, but, like, it's a family commitment, isn't it?
It is a family commitment, but, like, even what you're saying there about your family, I mean, you elevate to the standards set by those around you, right?
That's right.
Which your family have, but which you did as well, because they obviously had their own levels that were inspiring to you, and your parents did, because I mean your mother and father moved away from home to give you guys a better life.
That's right.
So, like, and people talk about sacrifices for this and for that, and then a lot of swimmers who make it say, well, it's not a sacrifice, it was a choice. I made the choice to be better by doing this. But a lot of families sacrifice for you to make that choice.
Yeah.
As well. Does that make sense?
Big time. And then the financial side of it as well.
Yeah,
and even swimming, yourself, like, even swimsuits now these days. You used to just wear a swimsuit, but now these swimsuits are these high tech.
500 quid.
Yeah. 400 or 500 euros for a swimsuit. And, like, it's the cost of it. And then obviously I do work now with Swim Ireland in terms of the race commentary, and I cruise down to Dublin, and my petrol's paid for, and then I've got my media fee and stuff, and my hotel and everything. But then I'm like, oh well, this is great. But then I'm looking around going, all these parents have all had to come to Dublin for 5 days of competition. That's 5 nights, accommodation, hotel, food, transport, and you're like it's big, like.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I wanted to do. I didn't just want to, and even when I missed the Olympics in 2004 by 0.2 of a second, and I quit for 6 months. I just went, I'm done with the sport. But then I was like only 23, and I was like, hold on, Andrew, your parents and everyone's put so much work into this, and you haven't reached your potential.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to be like, see you later, because it was almost like a slap in the face to them, going, I know I had done a lot, I'd still accomplished a lot, and I got my silver European medal and stuff, but I just knew there was more. But I felt that I couldn't just, from all the work that they've put in, and that's why I love being involved in it now. It's not like I've just finished swimming and gone, see ya. I love being involved in it, that I can almost give back, because they gave so much to me.
And was it when you came back from Sydney and kind of saw that the way they were looking up to you, did that kind of put you under any pressure to move to America, or was that a decision you would have made by yourself?
I think that was a decision I made when I was about 15 or 16.
Really?
Yeah, because my buddy used to get it used to be Swimming World magazine, remember the Swimming World magazine? So my buddy Neil Cameron, a guy I went to Campbell with, so every month he used to get the Swimming World magazine come through, and there was another one, Swim News. It was more of a technical kind of one, so he used to get these, and we used to
stacks of Swimming World magazines. Actually,
they'd be classics, because I was looking back, and then you'd be looking at all these college competitions, and and I just, there was something about it that just pulled me towards going, if I'm going to swim after school, it's going to be in America. So I think I had subconsciously decided that I was going. And then the crazy thing was, I remember when I was like 17 or something, you know, I got a TV in my room, you know, not like TVs these days. This thing was like a small box. But then I found myself watching late night TV, right?
Yeah.
And it was like 1 a.m. and I had to get up at 5. So it was a bit of a mistake, I think, sometimes looking back. But I do remember watching this documentary on Channel 4 once. And it was about the head coach of the women's basketball team at the University of Tennessee called Pat Summitt. And I remember it was a documentary following the team and then how they were doing everything. And it was showing Tennessee and all. And then it was showing them win the NCAA championships and everything. And it was only until, like almost until I was in Tennessee and it all clicked. You know, because their colours are bright orange. You know, like who walks around in bright orange? I couldn't do that in Northern Ireland. You know what I mean? It's like the only place I could wear it was in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'd come home during the summer with like Tennessee swimming, bright orange, and people would be like, "What are you wearing, mate? This is like ridiculous."
You can't
know,
go outside the door.
But everything was all like, even our trainers had all like, you know, the power tee and everything was all like, you know, bright orange. But it was like this weird synchronicity where it just clicked, where I was like, I almost planted the seed way back when I seen something about the University of Tennessee and the energy of it.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I was there. And then I ended up meeting the coach who was the coach from the documentary. And I was like, is this actually real? So that's why I always say, I'm like, is this all scripted?
Surreal, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of
So
said it last night.
It's almost like you're one of your boyhood dreams coming together, isn't it? Coming to fruition. Like, it's phenomenal actually, just hearing that, because a lot of people like will think about these kind of things and they'll never get to live it out.
Yeah. So somewhere deep down, it was definitely in my mind, and was it everything I thought it was? Not for the first few months. I was like, I'm not doing this. I arrived in December, so I swam the Olympics in 2000, Sydney 2000 in September, and then I couldn't obviously join because the semester had already started. So I had planned to join in January 2001. So I went out in December of 2000, and it was grim. It was snowing. It was dark. It was next minute I was signing up for classes, and I was like, suddenly the academics got really pretty serious, and then I was like, hold on. So we have to go lift weights, go swimming, go to school, go back, and it wasn't just like once a day. It was intense. You know, and I was like, I can't do this. And I remember really struggling, and then somehow it all clicked. And then Tennessee in the spring, like March, April, it just transforms into this.
It was starting to look a bit like the documentary.
Yeah. And then of course, we started training outdoors. You know.
Yeah.
And then all the students, all the guys and girls would be out and playing, like throwing the ball around the pool, and we're in training, and you know, you're breathing, you're seeing bikinis everywhere. You're like, what's going on here? This isn't a bad life, you know. So, and then the summers were great. You know, the academics kind of take a back seat. So, yeah. So it was that initial kind of thought of definitely from the Swimming World magazines that inspired me to go. Yeah, I definitely want to try this out.
Yeah.
Didn't have a clue what short course yards was. You know, every other competition in the world is either 25 meters or 50 meters. But the collegiate system in America is 25 yards, and I'm 6'6", so I was diving in and taking like 3 strokes, going, right, that's one length, you know. So it's kind of weird, but it was good. It was good. I kind of have really good memories, and kind of, you know, almost wish sometimes you could go back and go to the past and relive some of the magic.
Excellent, brilliant. Do you want to ask the next question? So. Pause it at this one. So we'll kind of talk between some of yours and some of yours. So we're kind of going on topic, off topic, and then we kind of come back around, and the whole thing will kind of mesh a little bit better. Is that okay?
Let's go from the start.
Well, whatever question you want to ask.
Who growing up were some of your inspirations and people you looked up to?
Great question. Yeah, my knowledge of sport isn't great. My knowledge of music isn't great. My knowledge of really anything outside, you know, I must be my ADHD or something, but I can never really recall. I've got memories of sporting moments, you know. I remember seeing Ireland play Australia when they came to Lansdowne Road. There was something like that, you know. I always remember, you know, kind of sporting moments, but if I had to dial down on certain names, you know, I'm not great. You know, Chris Eubank was a bit of an inspiration, which has just flashed into my mind, because my dad one year got me this thing for my birthday, and it was like Chris Eubank greatest hits or greatest boxing fights or something. And I remember watching it. He was a real showman. You know, I don't know if you've ever watched the old tape. I know his son is fighting now, Chris Eubank Jr., but he was fighting. But he used to come out, you know, and he used to like jump over the rope, and used to just tap his gloves. He used to go to every corner of the ring and just tap his gloves like this. So of course, what did I end up doing? Lane 4, 200 IM final, Andrew Bray. I'd just get off the chair and just do this to the crowd, you know, as if like I was doing a Chris Eubank. Oh my God, kind of embarrassed now thinking about it. Not really, no, because it was
We'll find a video clip. Don't worry.
Yeah, but it was my way of like stepping into it, you know. But we only had TV wasn't a big thing in our house, you know. But we only had, you know, we wouldn't have had the internet and stuff to really to get exposed to a lot more kind of sporting greats. But obviously in Ireland, Gary O'Toole was the main guy in my event in the 200 meter breaststroke. So it was a nice moment when I broke his record, and that was kind of an inspiration. But I always remember there was a competition up in Belfast one time, and I remember getting Gary O'Toole's autograph, and who else was there? Oh yeah, of course. Well, the controversial Michelle Smith. I remember meeting her in Galway just straight after the Atlanta Olympics. So I was only 15, you know. I remember I was like shaking when I was meeting her, you know, because she had just come back from winning 3 golds and a bronze, and getting a photo with her and stuff, you know. But Irish swimming had gone through different kind of phases, and you know, so there was a couple of guys that were older in my squad were kind of more like, right, I'm going to try and beat those guys. They were kind of more my target. And then again through obviously the swimming world magazines, and through kind of being at the Commonwealth Games, you know, there's a couple of Australian swimmers I really kind of admired. Kieran Perkins was one of them. You know, he was a great distance swimmer. 92, did he win gold in 92 in the 15?
I can't remember.
He won definitely in Atlanta from the outside lane, because he almost didn't make the final. So
96 in Atlanta.
96 in Atlanta, yeah. So yeah, there was a few definitely sporting swimming idols, and yeah, and I think that probably was it. Yeah, and I don't know. I never really put anyone super high up on a pedestal, as they say. You know, as in like wow, because I always feel like, right, they're human. So, but I always love to know, right, what motivated them, or how did they do it? You know, so it was always trying to delve into not their successes, maybe sporting heroes' successes, but how did they do it, or why did they do it? You know, and everyone's got their own kind of sporting path. But I loved reading different kind of books, and even footballers. I never really got attached to a football team, but I always loved the kind of team dynamics, and that's what I felt when I went to Tennessee. It was a real team, and you know, I felt that last night at the awards with Dolphin. There's just a real team element, and that's a beautiful thing to be able to experience sport with people.
Yeah,
because there's definitely a few swimmers out there that just train by themselves, and I tried that for one summer. You know, I was preparing for something, and the 50 meter pool in Clontarf had just been built, so this was the first 50 meter pool in Ireland. And I remember going there by myself, and Nelson, my coach from ours, Nelson Lindsay. And I remember Nelson sending me down sessions, and I was training by myself. And I'd do the warm-up, and I'd do the kick set. And next minute I'd be in the jacuzzi, because there was no one there to say, you're doing this, you know what I mean? I so you do need that, especially swimming, because it is that sport where you're in the water. You can't see anything, can't hear anything. Do you know what I mean? You can't talk, you can't really breathe. It's like going into a dark, you know, cupboard and training for 2 hours. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
It's you and your thoughts, isn't it? A lot of the time.
You and your thoughts, yeah.
But like, and a lot of people I've spoken to actually as well have answered a similar question like you have. Not that they took inspiration from certain people, but maybe that almost subliminally, without them realizing it at the time, that they probably took their inspiration from a teammate or a coach who was particularly influential. And as a coach myself, like, I'd be interested to see, like, what was your relationship with your coach at the time coming through, and then having to go and tell him, well, I've made it here now, I'm going to another country, to another program. And how did all that work out?
Yeah, no, I think they were definitely supportive in the time, because it was, you know, swimming's not what it's like now, you know, in Ireland. back in the late 90s. It's just, even it's just a different game now. There's just so much more involved in terms of preparation, and we wouldn't have been coming in the morning and doing activation stuff. We were coming in, run around the pool a few times, and I can't even really remember what we did, or did we even? Sometimes you just come in, get changed, and next minute you'd be in the warm up.
Yeah.
And the mental side of it really wasn't strong. I was still eating whatever really I wanted. So there were so many different elements that now that's all taken into consideration, even from a young age, that you're learning how your body moves, why it moves that way, how can you strengthen the mind to help develop. So I think with the coaches, and they were kind of not new to it, but they were parents. Nelson was a parent of 3 girls that swam.
Yeah.
And George Morrow was my other coach. He's passed away, but he was a parent of Richard Morrow, who was an older guy in my school, and he was a good freestyler. And he was involved because Richard swam, and then they started getting into coaching, and then they were learning as much as they could, so they were going to conferences. And Nelson's now considered one of the best coaches in Ireland. He's brought on so many swimmers, and it's just from his dedication. And he's 70-something years old, and he's running up and down the pools if he's 40.
Yeah.
And he's just, there's no stopping him, and it's just like it's brilliant. So he's obviously learned on, but in terms of that, I think it's at that stage they knew, But I did look at Bath. I think I looked at Bath and somewhere in Scotland as well, and then the team I was with in Australia. Sometimes I look back going, I wonder if I had stayed there with Michael Ball, where would I have ended up? But that wasn't my path. I had to go to Tennessee, and that was my life journey. But Nelson, no, they were very, very supportive. Like, right now it's time to move it to the next level. And then even when I come back, they were so supportive because they seen the difference in what even 1 semester or 2 semesters did for me in America. And because of the yards, you were just turning all the time. So my turns just went from okay to like top level very fast. And then the confidence, and I think that's the thing, the confidence that training and swimming and being surrounded by better swimmers brings you. So I came back to Ireland, and I even went to the Europeans, and I was going, I'm going to final here. I'm going to, in my first European short course, I think I'm finaled in the 200 IAM, and everyone's like, what? Just took like 2 seconds off the Irish record. But then for me, that was just taking care of business, because I'd been in America racing like, Olympic gold medalists and all in the collegiate system. So for me, it was like you were being exposed to the highest level. So that gave me the confidence when I came back to Ireland or Europe. I was just like, let's go. I think that really stood to me, So yeah, no, Nelson was great. Coaches were great. And I think if the environment is set up for the swimmer, and they're being pushed, and it was not controversial, but I did say it during the summer, with Ellen Walsh, and she had just missed the final, I think, in the 200 IM from the outside lane or something. Came back to us in the studio, and I was like, because she had been in Tennessee, and then she'd come back, and she was training with Brian, and I don't know what was going on in my mind. I just felt that, at the time, I was just like, is there something there that if she had been training with, more people and being pushed in that race environment and training, would that have translated to that semi-final? But looking back on it now, I've spoken to Brian since about it, because I felt, and even when we got off air, I was like, I shouldn't have really gone down that road, because that's my opinion. That's how I felt. That's not how the whole Irish audience should be seeing Ellen Walsh. Ellen Walsh works amazing with Brian Sweeney, and it happens with loads of swimmers, that it's not 1-to-1, but it's very specialised,
Yeah.
Whereas I've been in a squad before, and even my last few years in Tennessee, because we had finished the collegiate system, there was a few of us that were staying on to be kind of like pro swimmers. But it didn't feel the same energy. Do you know what I mean? It didn't feel like we had the same kind of energy as we did through the collegiate system. So that's when I had to then make another move, over to Dave Salo in Los Angeles. So I think it's the environment. It's like anything. If you're happy in your environment and you're thriving, then it works. But if there's something not right, then you need to address that. So.
Well, it's interesting you brought up that point there about Ellen, like. There was probably something in the back of your mind about your own experience in where your club system was set up, And the way Irish swimming was at the time, the way it was set up was that if your coach would have been doing you a favour to send you off out into the big wide world, and then you come back with your own learnings to the coaches. And have you seen the changes? I certainly have, but I'm wondering, like, from your own perspective, because you're still heavily involved in coaching and you're at the coalface of Irish swimming as well. Have you seen changes since then to now, to see, right, swimmers don't need, that's not their only option anymore, is to go abroad, to go to the UK or to go to Australia or the US, that we now have a system in Irish clubs, in certain clubs, and they have the option of performance centres here as well, that they're a lot better set up now to reach those standards in this country, either with their own coach, in their club system, whatever that may look like.
Yeah, well, I think it comes from the top down in anything, from the sporting organisation down. I think it's you've seen the changes in rugby and everything, and it's like really taking it to another level, as in the mindset towards it. You know, it was almost like, oh, well done, you made the Olympics, and that was it. You know, there was none of this like, no, you have to be this time, 2 years out, a year out, you need to be here. Like, we're going to make semi-finals and finals, and now we're going to win medals after last Paris. Like, it's now we're just like, we were talking about it last night at the awards. It's almost still disbelief. Two bronze and a gold at the Olympics. Like, what? It's still like, what is really going on here? But that's all the years of background, and it's the years, and it's the sports. It's from everything. It has to be, because maybe it is an Irish mentality of, oh yeah, sure, we're just in to take part here. But now you can see that it's really evolved in the last kind of 15 to 20 years, where it's like, no, we're going to win medals.
Does it make you think about how you would have done differently if you were swimming maybe 20 years later?
I think definitely elements of it would have been different. Yeah, definitely elements, you know.
Yeah.
Do I have regrets? No, I don't think I've got regrets. I've definitely got insights to maybe competed more, maybe. I always felt it was cycles of like, right, you would get in, train hard, and then you'd have a big competition at Christmas or in December, and then you get back in and train hard and have another big competition in April. You know, and I just always felt it was just 3 or 4, instead of going, no, I want to race every weekend. So you become such a machine in your mind that you can't be beaten. And that's what I think helped me with the swimming in the collegiate system in America. You would have like Tennessee versus Texas, Tennessee versus Florida, Tennessee versus da-da-da-da-da. And then within the squad, because it were so strong within the squad, you would be racing every day. And I'd be trying to beat the guy who's the best breaststroker or the best IM swimmer. And if you were doing 2100s, you know, IM order, you'd be like, right, let's go. You know, and you'd be pushing each other. So I think those elements of learning to race more, compete more, and then that builds the mental resilience. So when you step up, it's just like taking care of business. Competition should be just another day at the office. They really should. If you're training the way you're supposed to be training, the way you get up in the morning, the way you bring your mind into alignment, the way you eat, the way you prepare for your session, the way you attack your session, the way you recover. That should all be very similar to what you do on the day of the Olympics. It shouldn't be waking up at the Olympics and going, what am I going to do today? This is all. It should just be like, get up, do your routine, get to the pool, do your pre-rate, do everything that you're used to, so nothing is coming out of left field to kind of throw you off your game, you know.
That's probably transferable to most other sports, really, because what I've seen, so I'm a PE teacher by profession as well, by qualification and whatever, but I've been involved in sports, not just swimming, but soccer, football, athletics, hurling. And what I've seen over the last 2 decades anyway is that a lot of youth sports, children's sports, they're almost over-structured. And rather than just getting them in to play games, there's multitudes of drills now for kids. And drills are fantastic in certain sports. I think, you know, in swimming in particular, drills are great for isolating certain areas of a stroke or something, right? But in things like, in games like soccer or divided court games or something, like, you know, there's a lot of moving multi-directions and stuff. And do you think we should be allowing kids to compete a little bit more in a fun environment where they're starting to learn and get more comfortable in developing their own patterns
Yeah.
and their own sense of movement.
Well, that's what they're saying now, and even certain things. No, I'm not against all that, but there's competitions now that there is no first, second, third. It's participate. You're well done. You're participating type thing.
Yeah.
Now, is that controversial? Maybe, but like you still need to learn. That's the beauty of sport, is the competitiveness. Like who worked the hardest, who's bringing their mind, and who's bringing their physical aspects to the sport on the day and doing it under pressure. Like there's magic in that.
Yeah, that's real life. There's
So
winners and losers, isn't there?
Yeah, and it is real, because when you do leave, when you leave the bubble of swimming that I did at like 30, 31 years old, it's like, oh, this is life, and nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to go, here, Andrew, there's a job, or here, Andrew,
Here's a participation
here's
cert for coming in late every morning.
Yeah. Here's no, it's reality. So, I think swimming does prepare you for that, and I said that to the kids last night. It's just such a dedication sport. You can handle pretty much anything after it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've had setbacks, car crash and stuff, and different injuries and stuff, but I've got a deep down resilience of going, I'll be all right. Get through this, because I've been through. You've put your mind and body through so much before, so it does stand to you.
You mentioned about it just being like it should be another day at the office, but obviously when you went to Beijing, it was a bit different after the nasal spray incident. And
yeah, that was that talk about resilience. Yeah, so a year before, so it was the Europeans in, can't even remember. So that previous summer, so this was the summer of 2007. I was at a competition in Auburn in Alabama. Whatever way the hotel was, or the air conditioning in the hotel, and it was so humid outside and whatever, I got all kind of blocked up, and my my nasal sinuses and everything were blocked. So I bought this Vicks vapor inhaler, which is the size of your pinky. It's just the wee one, you screw off. It's not a spray or anything. It's just the actual kind of, I wouldn't even call it an inhaler. It was more of a clear. You've seen them, it's a wee green thing. So I looked at that, and I'd used them before, the one in was that about to go?
the bell's going to go, yeah.
Okay.
So we get it after the inhaler piece there, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just like one of the little lipstick kind of things that you shove up your nose.
Yeah.
God.
So I'll explain that. The inner workings of it.
Is there anything you want us to touch on? Like, because it'd be nice for you to use clips of this as well. So, like, if you want us to go down a direction and ask a pointed question that you can elaborate on,
whatever you
just
think.
let us know.
Yeah. We'll bounce back.
Yeah, it's going well.
time
Getting
does it go
everything,
at? 35?
and everyone sounds okay.
Yeah.
We just leave this thing buzz here. It goes off at 25 to for the next class and stuff, and
So how long does each class last?
an hour for every class, and then it's 20 minutes for lunch break. So
So
usually,
we'll have another one in 20 minutes
Yeah.
if we.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is.
that's it. So now, fellas, we'll start coming up there and trying to get into the library, 'cause some guys come here for lunchtime.
You only got 20 minutes for lunch?
Yeah, but two.
Two lunches.
So-
Two
Oh,
lunches.
2 lunches, yeah.
Get some home earlier.
Yeah, okay.
Will we go back to the?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
So you just
So
Vicks,
yeah, so it's Auburn, Alabama. You'd stitch that together, whatever. So it bought this thing just to get me through. So threw it in my bag anyway, and then that December we went to. I'm still trying to remember. It was one of those Scandinavian countries. I think it was just it was one of those countries that's like 23 hours of darkness type thing, in the depths of December. So I remember waking up dark, getting on the bus, going to the competition, swimming the heats, going back in the afternoon. It was dark. You're like, ah. So anyway, I'd again blocked up because of the weather out there. So I used this thing that was in my bag, thinking nothing of it. And I checked. So obviously, because you're in the testing pool, the WADA, I think it's still called WADA. Yeah. So it's the World Anti-Doping Association. You have to give your whereabouts. You have to let them know every quarter where you're going to be every day. And if you're not there and they come and drug test you, you get a strike. And if you get 3 strikes, it's like the same as a ban. So I had updated it and everything, and no problem. But I checked this ingredient. So the ingredient on the back of the Vicks vapor inhaler was a different ingredient than they used over in Europe, which I'd used this, this small thing before. So over here, I think it was like not spearmint, but some type of like natural.
Like eucalyptus or something.
Yeah. So I seen this ingredient on the back of the one in America. So I was like, no problem. So I typed it into the World Anti-Doping Association website. You can go on and type in anything that you're about to take to see if it's illegal, right? So I type it in, nothing found. I'm like, right, sweet, okay, no problem. So anyway, when January comes around, I'm training away. I swim the Europeans. I get drug tested in December, right? Off I go, made the final or something, no problem. So January comes around, I get a call from my mum crying her eyes out. You failed the drug test. I'm like, that's impossible. What are you talking about? You failed the drug test. You failed. I was like, Mum, what do you mean? I was like, what are you talking about? Give me the name. For what? For what? So she starts spelling out the name, and I was like, Mum, I've checked that. LEVE, a big massive word, methamphetamine or something. So what had happened is Procter and Gamble. I'm pretty sure it's Procter and Gamble. I'm probably gonna, maybe we'll edit this out if they're gonna sue me. But I should be. So many people said I should have sued them. So what they did in the American spelling of this ingredient was they took out the letter H because it had the word meth in the full ingredient. So they wanted to deter any American customer thinking that there was meth in it, the word meth. So they took out the letter H. So when I typed it into the World Anti-Doping Association, without the letter H, it didn't come up. And when I put in the letter H, it came up.
Wow.
So the most expensive cost me €35,000 to get a barrister, a solicitor here in Ireland to prove, to get character statements from all my old Australian coaches, from all these people in sport that were like, this guy's not up to bad news. This guy is, respected, clean athlete. So we had to go, or this lawyer had to go to the Court of
Arbitration for Sport
in Switzerland or something, present my case, show them that I searched for it, didn't come up, showed them that, showed them all my previous stuff, never had an issue with it, and then the thing was just squashed. And then that's when I was eligible to swim. But anyway, so that happened in January, but this took until like May or June.
So
this whole process, right? So my coach said to me, he's like, F this. He says, F this. He goes, you're going to train as if you're going to Beijing. Because I'd qualified the year before, so I was going.
Yeah.
Lost all my funding, swim out, nobody would speak to me. All over the newspapers in Ireland. My sister started crying one day. She was at university in Galway, and she says she went into a newsagents, and it was all over the papers headline. Bree test positive, Bree fails test, all this. Sister started crying her eyes out. Everyone was like, what's he doing? Of course, then all the kind of jokes were going around. Oh, eyes, using this, So I was away from it all, right? So I remember I was dating a girl at the time. And I says, you know what? I says, no, I'm going. Because I knew deep down I'm going. I'm going. So the movie's 300 had just come out, Sparta.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. And so I just literally transformed into an absolute warrior, shaved my head, mohawk, and just went nuts. And my coach says he's never seen anything like it. I just went from training to training. I just kettlebells, just was going mad. So it actually spurred me on to take me to another level. So obviously then it was cleared, and then I got the call, and I just knew. I seen the call coming in, and I just remember turning to my girlfriend. I says, watch this. I was like, yep, okay, good. Yep, I know that. Thanks. Boom. I'm going.
So obviously training like that paid off. You made the semi-final.
Just made the semi-final, yeah. And then, I just, missed the final by 0.1 of a second. That's kind of a mad thing as well to look back on. And then, of course, I'm like, you can't go back and go, well, if I had gone to bed that, or if I had done that, you can't do that because it would just wreck your mind. But I should have been in the final,
Yeah.
And not one regret, but one piece of advice I probably should have listened to was, it was during the controversial bodysuits, the full bodysuits that were out. So these things were kind of head to toe. It was almost like a swimsuit, and they were designed a certain way that would kind of make you a little bit more buoyant. So I remember rocking up, and I swam the heats, and I just wore the legs just from the waist down to the ankles. And I remember getting on the bus after the heats and before the semi-final, and the Australian swim coach, Laurie Lawrence, who I'd worked with before, and he's just a legend, an absolute legend in the world of swimming. And he calls me Irish, and he's like, Irish, make sure you wear that bloody full body suit for the semi-final. And I'm like, nah, mate. What? Because it had straps over my shoulders and all, and I was like, what? I'm not wearing that. And we only got the suit like 2 weeks before the competition, so I didn't have a chance, whereas everybody else was like laser measured, fitted for these custom suits. And we roll up 2 weeks out, and we're given a standard suit, and I tried that, and I'm like, But looking back, there was a few guys that were just, really ugly in the last 10 meters, but they maintained that buoyancy a little bit better and got into the final. But then in the final, I think my time would have been like 4th or 5th in the final. The 2 Italian guys, I think one of them got done for drugs. There was a few controversial characters that I was just like, So looking back, the bodysuit thing, but I think if I had a year worth of trying it and really playing around with it, because I did wear it once for the 100 when I was in a competition in Nashville and broke the Irish senior record. And like water, when I dove in, water went down the back of my suit, and I felt like I was going to go like a 108 in the 100 breast, and I went like 101. I was like, what's going on here, lads, But I'm glad those suits are gone, because it was just chaos, it was all about money, and the 125 world records were broken in 1 year, it just wasn't real, but so missed the final, and then, but you were talking about that at the day at the office earlier. This is the original question you asked about, was it just the day at the office with the whole nasal controversy? I treated that Olympics as if I was going to the Irish champs or the Ulster Championships or something. I had blinkers on like you'd never believe. I walked past, like, this is a crazy story. This is how much I was like, I don't even think I'm at the Olympics. Beijing was weird because it was just so massive, and the sky was kind of dark and grey, and I was like, whoa, this is weird compared to Sydney, where it was like, Sydney. So I roll into Beijing, and there was only 3 of us: Melanie Knocker, Aisling Cooney from ESB team here in Ireland and Dublin, and myself, and swim Ireland. We didn't have a training camp or anything. There was only 3 of us. So I ended up going on training camp to Singapore with the Venezuelan team, because my close friend at the time, Octavio Alessi, was on the Venezuelan team. So he invited me to join them in Singapore. So I did like a 2-week camp. And then luckily I was able to bring out my coach from Tennessee, Jim Rumbaugh, because he was with Octavio obviously as well. So that there really helped my final few days preparation to be with my coach pretty much all the way up to the Olympics. He wasn't able to get into the competition, but he was there right up into Singapore. But yeah, I had my blinkers on to the point where we were in the food hall. We were in the food hall at the Olympics, and then next minute, Octavio's like, "There's Messi, there's Messi," and I what did I say earlier? I wasn't really into like football and stars. I was like, "Who's that?" And this is back in 2008. I was like, "Who's that?" Next minute, Octavio starts freaking out, and he grabs. We didn't have really smartphones back then with these cameras, so we had a digital camera. So he's like, give me the camera, and he grabs the camera, and he jumps up, and he goes, hey man, any chance of a photo? Kobe Bryant, right? So he's sitting there. So I take the photo of Octavio and Kobe Bryant.
So Kobe was there with the Dream Team at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah. So he's there, and he's just so chill. So Octavio, they're just arm in arm with a photo. Octavio then is like, oh, thanks, man. Kobe just goes, do you want one? To me. I'm like, no, I'm good, bro. Because I was just so in like, I wasn't, you know what I mean? I was so like, what? And now looking back, I'm like, what? But Octavio was looking at me, and I think he was looking at me going, oh, cool, man, cool, and just walked on. But I was just kind of like, I just walked past. It was more surreal because the internet kind of wasn't out in 2000.
Yeah.
You'd have to go to a computer and all. Dial up and all, whereas in 2008 it was, you were way more exposed to a lot more kind of athletes, and Usain Bolt and all, and you were like, you've seen a lot more. But I went in with the sole mission of going, I'm here to take care of business, you know. And then everyone's like, what was it like watching Phelps win 8 golds? And I'm like, I don't know, I seen one of them. So I didn't go back to finals or anything because I was so like, I'm here for me. I'm here to go in, swim actually the heats were at night time because of the television coverage in America. So they usually the heats are in the morning and the finals are in the evening. But for this Olympics, they put the heats in the evening and the finals in the morning.
They run it to the Western world.
Western world, so the American audience could watch Phelps win 8 gold medals. So I swam the heats in the evening on a Friday, and I think it was a Saturday morning. I swam the semi-final. And I remember leaving the pool, and is it Martin Morrissey?
Yeah.
Was there interviewing me, and I was like, who's this character? Because he was just like, hey there, Andrew, how's it? And I was just like, what's going on here? And I was chatting away to him and all. And then I remember watching the screen because I was in the first semi-final. And then that's kind of a disadvantage because all the other guys in the next semi-final can see what the standard is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then the next wave came through and I remember watching. And then I think I was like 10th, you know, he had to be top 8. I think I was 10th or 11th or something. And I was, 210.0 made it and I was 210.1 or something. You're like, what? But anyway, that was the way it was, you know.
Fine margins, isn't it? That's the sport of swimming.
You know, and I'm 6'6", thinking that height might that height might help. It's actually, I think it's a disadvantage sometimes in breaststroke, yeah. So that suits. So yeah, it was an interesting year, you know, it was an interesting build up and then obviously, continuing on, I loved it, you know. And then again, I didn't even hang out for this ceremony. It was something about it. I was just like, I was happy with my race, but I kind of deep down was like, I should have been the final, you know. Because I did train, I just knew I'd put in the work. So I'd finished my race, and I think we went out one night, whereas in Sydney, I stayed there like 2 weeks. I had 2 weeks after the Olympics in Sydney as a 19-year-old. Like, let's go. It was going out and having the best crack. But in Beijing, I was like, I just kind of want to get out of here. So Granny Brain Sligo was turning 90 years old. So I got my flight changed, and I got the flight home, and just walked into the party. And I think I was actually scared because I nearly gave her a heart attack because like she was watching me like 3 days before on TV, so proud. And I was just like, and all my cousins were just, there was just like a glitch in the matrix. They were like, hold on, are you just not in China, you know? So I got back for that, and that was memorable, you know.
So there must be something in your experience leading up to Beijing that created this completely different mindset for you. Like you had the eyes open moment of going in 2000 to Sydney and experiencing all of this new elite level sport and like completely new. And then I suppose the disappointment of missing in 2004 probably gave you a greater sense of appreciation that, right, okay, I'm here now.
Yeah.
And I do have a job to do. I've lived through the whole experience of the Olympics, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And I missed the last one, and I might not get this chance again, so I'm going to make the absolute most of it this time. Yeah. Do you think that, like, does that sound correct, or was it just? It did.
It did. But after, like, I think what happened then after Athens, because it really that was a tough blow because I'd won the European silver medal in Dublin the previous December. So everyone was like, "Oh, he's a shoo-in." Like they're just going to automatically select him based off that because it swam like a 2:07 or something. Like it was like a world class time that December in Dublin in front of my home crowd, which is I mentioned it last night. It was one of my most favorite memories of swimming. And then I think then missing Athens. You know, I remember going to the competition in Nashville. I'm going like a 2:14.6 and the qualifying time was 2:14.4 or something, or 2:14.2. And then next minute, me and my dad flew over to Scotland to try and do the time, and then went to somewhere else. And it was just all crammed in and crushed in and
almost rushed.
And then I didn't make it. And then I went back to Tennessee, and I just hated it, man. I just was so like, I remember watching the Olympics that summer and just watching all these guys I'd competed against in college. Brendan Hansen from Texas, next minute he's winning medals, and I'm just like, so that really knocked me. So I just went, nah, you know, F this, I'm not swimming anymore. So I just started partying and, you know, and I'd kind of been sheltered from like dating girls and stuff. And next minute I'm going out, and I'm a 6'6" Irish guy in Knoxville, Tennessee, you know, and I started just like hanging out with the wrong people and partying and putting on weight and eating burgers at 2 o'clock in the morning and not going to class, and everyone was like worried about me. And you know, I had my teammates knocking my door to make sure I was getting up for class, and I would just be like, you know, put my head under the blankets and be like, nah, I'm not, just didn't care, man, just didn't care. And looking back on it, was definitely depressed, but you never say that.
Yeah.
You guys don't even say that now. If they're feeling down, they're like, no, I'm all right. And it's an Irish thing too. They're like, no, fight on, you know, keep the head down, you know, keep going. So, definitely struggled, found escape in distractions, found escape in drink and stuff. And then I think it was that after that Christmas I came home, or no, I went to Vegas. Oh my God. So I had a buddy whose dad was super successful businessman, and he was on the board of directors of MGM or something, that owned all these massive hotels in Vegas. So next minute I'm in Vegas. Nobody goes to Vegas for more than 3 days, right? Because it's so intense. So we're there for like a week. Right? So I'm going to bed at like 9 o'clock in the morning. This is right before Christmas. I'm just partying like there's no tomorrow for no reason. Don't even know how I was funding it. I don't even know what was going on. So after that, I came home that Christmas, and I just remember my belly hanging out and all. Like, I'm 6'6", so I can kind of hide it. You know, you wouldn't see it really.
Yeah.
But it was kind of heavier around my chin and all, and everyone was like, all right there, big man. You know, and I was like, right. You know? And I remember getting back. And I remember getting back into Tennessee and all, and getting back into class and all. And then I just had this moment where I was like, dude, you're like nowhere near done swimming. Get your act together. So I started getting back in training. And I remember one of the guys in Tennessee seeing me from a distance, and he just said, who's that? He just thought I was a recreational swimmer. He didn't recognize me, you know. Hair had grown out long, and, you know, my belly was hanging out. Well, not hanging out, but it was, you know, it was there. And then next minute, he's just like, who's this? Who's this big tall? And then they see me swim. He's like, is that Breezo? Is that what's Breezo doing? So it took me until that summer to get back to in any way competitive. And I remember going out to California that summer and competing, and I think I made a semi-final in the 2 breast or something. I was way off my best times, but I was back in it, you know. And, you know, that was all JT and the Tennessee coaches, and that, you know, they could have just said, move on, mate, finish your academics and move on in life, you know, but they also seen I had more to go. So got back into it. So that was 2005. And then by 2006, I went to Melbourne, Commonwealth Games for Northern Ireland, and made the final. I think I was like 4th or something, 4th or 5th. And then I was saying to myself, if I hadn't have taken those 6 months off, I would have won a medal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that then inspired me to train harder. So then from 2006 to 2007, I stepped it up. And that's when I qualified for Beijing, a year before Beijing. So there was that momentum. So maybe I did have to take that time off.
Do you think that time off obviously now you're a big advocate for mental health and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. It's scary. Like, it's scary, and it's like, it's direct. Oh.
Yeah. So just ask the question. Yeah, just answer it again.
The mental health. Yeah, no, it's the mental health aspect. It's directly connected to, and even now that I'm in, you know, pretty. I'm not going to say an expert, but I'm pretty well versed in like fasting and sleep and all the things I think that take your energy away, you know. And if I had known what I know now, yeah, I definitely would have been aware of that, you know.
Yeah.
I think 100% alcohol is, well, we all know it's a massive depressant, but it's this tricky thing that it lingers in your body. So even though you think, oh yeah, I'm only going out at the weekend, I'm only having a few beers, there's this like underlining kind of I don't know what you want, kind of low dark energy that it stays in your body. So even if you don't have a drink for a few days, you're like, oh yeah, no, I'm good, and then you have one, and then it's another one. So I've definitely learnt the destructive power of it. But of course, it depends on your mindset. You know, some people can have a beer and it's nice and it's casual. But then some people have a beer, but it's for the wrong reasons. It's escapism, or you're trying to distract yourself, or you're trying to numb yourself, you know. And I was definitely, I think that year after, or those months after Athens, I was using it to try and numb the thoughts of maybe I should have been there, you know. And it all comes down to self-love as well. If you really love and respect yourself, you're not going to need anything external to make you feel complete.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning that at this age, you know. I'm still learning that, but definitely with the definitely with those aspects of you know, preparation and being aware of that stuff and mental health, it is directly connected. Is it 80, 85% or 90% of your serotonin, which is your happiness, you know, your happiness hormone, is produced in your gut, you know? So when you realize everything you consume affects your mind, it's a very powerful, something very powerful to understand. You know, sugar or certain types of food all have an effect on your mind, you know? So I got into like intermediate fasting. And then of course with my mindset, I was like, well, I'm going to see what this is all about, you know? So then I got into water fasting. So then I did a 3-day water fast, and I felt like I was like superhuman. And then I was like, what's going on here? So then I started studying it. I was like, what do you mean your immune system's restored after 72 hours in a water fast? What do you mean your testosterone goes up 500%? What do you mean your growth hormone goes up? What do you mean your body starts producing stem cells and starts repairing things? So I started getting into that. So then, of course, I pushed it 5 days. Then I did a week. Then I did 14 days. And then I did 28 days. 28 days water fast. And I'm telling you now, when I did that, I was like, I was here. I was on planet Earth, but I was operating on a mindset. I was sleeping 3 hours a night. And I just felt like, I can't really describe it. It was very spiritual. It was definitely very spiritual. And there was in no way I was in ever danger or anything. I was checking all my vitals all the time. You know, you go through a state of ketosis. And what's the word? Apogee? Autophagy, I think, or autophagy. I can never pronounce the word. But basically it's like your body goes into a state of survival of the fittest. So it goes in and starts cleaning up your dead cells and toxic cells, you know, and it really helps you detox and stuff, you know. So right before I came down here this weekend, I just finished a 9-day fast. The first day I ate was the night before. Yeah. After the crazy day on Friday with my car, you know, I was a bit delayed with a car issue and ended up getting down here a wee bit later. But right up until that, that was day 9 of a water fast, and I had no intention of breaking it through this weekend. Because you even said to me during the day, you're like, well, I left in the morning and you're still coaching. And then people ask me that when I do race commentary at the Irish Championships. You know, I do the morning session every heat. I do the afternoon session every heat, and then I'm back for finals, and I do every single final and try and mention every single swimmer with every single time and every single split. And I'm non-stop for 5 days, and people are like, how? What are you taking? How are you doing that? How can you just be on your feet talking swimming for 5 days straight? But what they don't know is I do have like small bouts of like a water fast or a reset where you gain so much energy and clarity, and it almost dissolves the ego. You know, it really dissolves the ego, and you're in talk about living in the moment or being present. It magnifies that. So everything you do, your senses are heightened, and it's a magical place. But you have to build into it. Like, I would never recommend anyone going from like 0 to like a 3-day water fast, you know. Yeah. You could do like a 1 meal a day, which is becoming massively popular now. Yeah. People are now doing intermediate fasting, which is, you know, don't eat for 20 hours of the day, but then you've got a 4-hour window where you can eat whatever. Do you know what I mean? And then, or now people are pushing it maybe 16 hours fasting, 8-hour window of eating, you know. So just even in the last few years, I've really learnt the power of what we consume. It really does have an effect on our mind, you know. Yeah. And I think that's definitely where my mental health suffered, was when it was connected to escapism through alcohol and escapism through just distractions. But we're all distracted now, especially with these things, these smartphones. You know, we're always finding our dopamine, like what's going to give us that wee dopamine hit, you know, whether whether it's through food or through, smartphones or Instagram, they're all designed to hook your attention and to spike your dopamine, So I'm a big advocate now, and everyone's like, oh, I can't get you, you're not answering your phone. Yeah, because my phone's on airplane mode and I'm putting it away for 8 hours today. I'm taking off my shoes, I'm going to go walk through the beach, or I'm going to go for a cold water swim, or I'm going to go barefoot, take off my shoes. I love barefoot. I've climbed Sleeve Donard. No, not Crow Patrick. Yeah, Sleeve Donard twice now, barefoot. They say 15 minutes standing without shoes on grass or whatever is like, it reduces your inflammation by like 60% or something. It's so good for the body to have the soles of your feet. Well, it's the sole of your foot. Spell it SOLE or spell it SOUL. There's something very deep about it. So I'm a big advocate of that. So I've done that, and I've tried to look into ways of how we can educate or how we can help even the younger generation now, because we're in trouble now if these kids are born into, they don't know anything else apart from iPads and phones. I was out in Australia with my brother, and he's like saying to his 2 young boys, right, 30 minutes they're watching this huge flat screen cartoons or whatever on 4K. Like, we didn't have that when we were growing up. We just about had 4 channels.
We're lucky.
So they're immersed in this world of Netflix, of a TV show or something, and he's like, right, 10 minutes dinner, 10 minutes dinner, right, 5 minutes, and they're like, yeah, no problem. Okay, TV off, boom. Absolute chaos, as if you just took a needle out of a drug addict's arm. It was like screaming, and I was like, this was my first, because families, you've seen your nieces, nephews, you've seen wee kids, your family's kids and all, but you only see them for wee snippets of time, right? But I was living with my brother. I went out to Australia for 3 months, and I was living with him, so I got a real insight to this is what's going on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like that all the time, because they were so used to the when you took that away from them.
So you're almost reversing. You're almost reversing their energy dissipation.
Yeah.
So like when we were younger, right, similar age, we weren't spending hours on end or timed sessions on smart devices or watching TV. We were outside most of the time.
Yep.
Moving, running, cycling, swimming, whatever it was, and then we'd come in and it was time to settle down. We were almost happy with a little bit of a rest.
Yep.
But now, young kids are sedentary most of the time.
Yep, they're not out
and then it's right, stop that sedentary stuff now and move to the table to do something that you're being made to do. So then it's time to start getting rid of all that pent up energy as well.
And then they're wired, and then putting them to bed, putting them to sleep at night is just like absolute battle.
And that continues into their teenage years, and then into school. And like we brought in a thing here in the school, as you know, lads, with lock boxes for the phones.
Oh, I love it.
And they're on the walls.
He's ready.
If we had a camera, you'd see the lads' faces here, right?
It's true. They've started to do that up
but
north.
It's fantastic.
Too. Yeah,
it is fantastic. And I'm sitting here in the library all day, and if a phone vibrates on the wall outside because someone has forgot to turn it onto complete silence and non-vibrate, it's distracting for multiple classrooms.
Yeah.
And everyone's sitting inside the class going, whose phone is that? So if you're sitting in class and your phone is going off, vibrating in your pocket, you're completely distracted.
Yeah, 100%.
Just from that little, so.
But it's crazy, because I've now, of course, some lady showed me this thing, because you're saving stuff, because there's so much stuff out there, right? And I'm always like, no, but I'm going to use that, or no, I'm going to apply that to my high performance swim coaching. If I see a really cool Instagram post about like recovery or something, I'm like, no, I'm going to save that. And I got to the point where I was saving all this stuff. And I was like, I don't even think Instagram allow me to save anything anymore. So I remember meeting this older lady, and she's like, oh, look what I do. So she sends it to herself on WhatsApp. So if I open my own number on WhatsApp right now, I'm just going to be sitting scrolling through about 100 things I've sent to myself.
Yeah.
And will I ever go back? In my dream, I want to go away and go to one of those islands off the west coast of Ireland and disappear and just sit down and go through everything and write it out, because I'm a big believer in, like, you can take elements of mental training from something else and apply it to swimming, or you can take, and this is why I love AI as well now. And I think definitely my mindset, my attention, my ADHD's gone nuts in the last 2 years is because of AI, because it almost gives you the permission you can create anything. So I would take an article, for example. Remember we were talking about the sporting organization and clubs in America, but I was able to take like a 2-hour podcast, right? And I'm sure I'll do it for this. When we finish this podcast, I'll be able to take the transcript, put it into AI, and be like, give me the 5 big takeaways from this. Or what was your man talking about? What was he just, what was the real gist of the episode or something? And it gives you all these summaries and stuff. But I think it's definitely got a tool. It's like a tool. My brother said that to me years ago, and he worked for Twitter, because I was talking about technology and how we're bombarded by all this. And he goes, Andrew, right, just pretend it's like a hammer, right? If you need a hammer, you pick it up and you use the hammer. You don't walk around all day with a hammer in your pocket going, I'm just going to lift up this hammer and start banging stuff. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So he says you have to really disconnect from the mindset. But isn't it interesting that Bill Gates' kids don't have any iPads or any technology? Steve Jobs never gave, because they realized the addictiveness of it, the power of it. Because once you're hooked into it and you don't have that kind of detachment, or you don't have that, that nature escape or that discipline to put it away. But I think that had to happen for schools. You had to. How could you be in a world teaching and kids are under the table going, on Snapchat or something? It's like, mad. No way, it's mad. And I feel this is an all boys school, right? Yeah, same with I went to. Like, and I'm kind of glad that I ended up in an all boys school, because you know what I mean. Because it's just like then you're not. Of course, it's part of growing up and part of life, but then you're getting into, and then I feel for American kids that at least we all roll up here in the same uniform every day. Do you know what I mean? Whereas in America, it's all the kids are getting bullied and what are you wearing, and it's just, and then everyone's lives are on Facebook and Instagram and stuff, and then people are becoming more judgmental. But if you can really strip it back and say, look, it's a tool. I use a wee bit of it. Just I'm going to document this weekend and put up stuff. And then again, it's a tool for maybe a bit of publicity, or a bit. It could lead to future stuff. And if it's inspiring, it's great. But like, there's so much stuff now it's coming down, and I've even found in the last few months, I downloaded some app. You can turn your phone into like a minimalistic thing, so it's only going to give you like 3 apps or something. And then during the summer, when I was doing the TV coverage for RTA, I was speaking to this American girl that was staying at the hotel, and I looked at her phone, and it was just pure black and white. It was grayscale, and I was like, "What?" I said, "What happened to your phone?" She goes, "No, I turn my phone on grayscale so I don't get all the bright colours and the notifications and all the things." So I started doing that a wee bit too, where you're like, and then I dare you to scroll through Instagram when it's black and white. You're just like, whatever, this is useless. You've got no interest in it. You're like, right, close it down. But no, I definitely use it for podcasts and learning now more than ever. I very, they have the term doom scrolling or something. I very rarely find that I'm just like, maybe the odd time. But, there's a few channels that I love listening to, and then I love diving into the transcript and using, the key takeaways from that, and how can I use this as a coach? How can I apply this to a swimmer, or how can I apply this to myself in terms of business or coaching and stuff like that? So,
like you're on about phone use there, right? But you've made really good use of the phone as well. And like, just rolling back there a few minutes to give a little bit of context of what I see of you, right? Okay, so you're saying you commentate for the heats and for the semi-finals and the finals. Like, these heat sessions are hours in length, right? So are your semi-finals, so are your finals. And I've had the pleasure of watching you doing this for many years, right? So for everyone else listening who's not too familiar with swimming, what Andrew does is, generally he's walking up and down poolside, the length of the whole pool.
Barefoot.
With barefoot, right? So, and he's practicing what he preaches, barefoot, with a stopwatch in his hand and the mic in the other hand. And as the swimmers are racing, it's not a simple matter of, well, lane 4 is beating lane 5. Right? He is calling out splits every time they turn at the wall. He's calling out stroke rates, which is, in layman's terms, how fast the swimmer's arms are moving in relation to how much power and distance they're getting in the water. And spectators are up in the balcony saying, wow, like, this is different level. This is not just about looking at a race. The commentary is live, and every single race is as informative and as exciting as the next one. That guy over there is a legend, the guy walking up and down the poolside, and you're teaching the spectators about the sport, and you're educating the swimmers about what they should be doing by looking at the other swimmers there. And engaging the whole place. And this continues for 5-day meets at nationals, where everyone is just exhausted by day 4, day 5, and you're just rocking back up full of energy. But then on the other hand, then outside of the pool, those energy levels are maintained, and you're putting up a lot of posts. And a lot of my swimmers, a lot of my athletes would have come and said, like, you know, did you see Andrew Bree's post there yesterday? And I've gone, no, what is it? Oh, he posted an Instagram live, and it might be November, and you've been in the cold water, and you're just sitting in the car, or you're on the beach and it's raining behind, and you're kind of looking at it going, this guy's mad. You're explaining the feeling that you've gotten, this sense of just a sense of freedom and freshness from being immersed in the cold water, like standing there like in your togs in the depths of winter.
In Donegal.
And people are getting really inspired by it, or you're sitting in the car talking about something that you're really passionate about. So like, you're using technology as well.
True.
To advantage other people when they can actually look at it. Like.
True. Yeah, and I got into the cold water therapy like way back in, I think 2016, 2017. And, you know, my family home just outside Bangor, lovely place called Hallin's Bay. And we grew up there and never got in the sea once. Nobody did. Everyone was like, why would you get in the sea? It's freezing. So I started getting in. So I came across Wim Hof, you know, the Dutch guy, he's got all the breathing and stuff. So there was a group that met up every Sunday called Dash and Splash. You would go for a 30-minute run, and then everyone would get in the sea. So the first time I went, there was like 4 people, and then it started building, you know, then it got up to about 15, 20 people. But this is still way back, and like, this is years and years ago. This is way before it kind of became mainstream. So I remember putting up, you know, a couple of videos then, and people thought I was like, lost my mind. I remember being in Hallin's Bay once, and it was wavy and it was crazy and there was wind and stormy, and I was out there. I remember getting out and it was pure red, and I was just like, wow, loving it. And I remember this group of people come up and they were like, are you okay? Like, did you try and kill yourself there? And I'm like, kill myself? I've never felt more alive, you know? And then they're just like, you're mental. And I was like, I know. And then obviously COVID, controversial. But I tell you what it did. It brought everyone to the sea. Yeah. And everyone just went, oh, hello. And now it's like, I would say cold water swimming is one of the greatest things you can do for your mind, because when you're in the cold water, your ego is like gone. There's no time for you to be like, oh, I wonder what I think. I wonder what they thought about that. Or I'm going to be worried about it. No, it just blasts you with like dopamine and serotonin. And you're just like, you never feel more alive, you know? So no, I respect that's from an outsider's point of view. I've definitely put up stuff. Now I've definitely put up stuff where it's just absolutely mad, and then people are like, what are you talking about, mate? You know, because you're just into it. And I think I have to find an outlet, you know. Yeah,
but speaking about it like that, like to the open audience, to the World Wide Web is probably a form of therapy as well, really, isn't it?
True.
You know, getting your thoughts out.
Yeah, and I always say, you know what, if one person sees it and tries it, or one person goes, you know what, I like that, or if one person goes,
or it resonates with someone.
With it, yeah, why not, you know, from only a few thousand followers, but like,
if someone says, geez, I thought I was the only person who thought like that, okay.
And I think now, you know, I definitely think now, I don't really want to go too mainstream or too promotion stuff with the fasting yet, because it's a tricky one, because you're dealing with the biggest thing in the world, and
it's not taboo, but it's bordering on it.
But when you can when you can educate someone that you don't need to eat 3 meals a day,
Yeah.
and you're actually giving your body a chance to rest, detox, and then rejuvenate. But we're so conditioned. You think about it, from when you're born, you eat 3 meals a day. Well, not maybe as much anymore, but like for many, many years there, your life is based around breakfast, which you take the word breakfast means breaking a fast, break, fast, breakfast, then your lunch, then your dinner. But I even know now when I eat, like I'm like, is there a couch or is there a bed around? Because I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
Like it just wipes me out.
Well,
now.
like I've tried fasting, and I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Honestly.
There's something very
actually this
magical.
week I'm on a fast this week. Now it's an intermittent fast, right?
Yep.
But my energy levels have just soared. And after the weekend we've just had as well, like, you know,
Yeah.
just non-stop. I think it kept me going. But so when I was 16, 17, I was very sick in hospital, and even back then it wasn't called fast. Well, I was told to fast for
Yeah.
certain periods of time, but the doctors who were treating me, so they were treating me for cancer, right?
Yeah.
And even then, there was already research out about how bad sugars are for a cancer patient who's in
100
treatment, right?
Acidic, yeah. It
So-
feeds it.
That was exactly what they said.
Yep.
So sugars will feed your cancer
Yep.
growth, and I was told back then, like, no, don't eat sugars, don't eat this for this period of time.
Yep.
I'd have to have something really small for breakfast, drinking loads of water. This was back in 1997, 98, when there was no real research and fasting wasn't a thing. But that's what the doctors were telling me back then.
Yeah,
Based on what they had learned
super
about
real. Yeah, there's
treating
massive,
diseases, you know. So
massive studies out now. Dr. Eric Berg has come out, Instagram post just recently, and he says if I was diagnosed with cancer, the first thing I'd do is a 10-day water fast. And this guy's got like 2.3 million followers, and he just went, no doubt about it, you starve it. It cannot survive if you're not feeding it. You know, now I haven't got any backup, or I'm not making any claims, but there's something very powerful about it. But yeah, so that's the social media side now being used as a positive thing, and I think it is good. You know, we're so informed. Even now, competitions, you can get clips of Mona and Ellen being away and seeing stuff. So it's bringing a lot of awareness, and it has to help. I think if you have a goal, whether it be swimming or in life, you can use, and it's like any successful movie. There's always a hero in the movie, and he always finds a mentor to help the hero gain the capabilities to overcome the final battle. Look in any movie, Harry Potter, Indiana Jones, any movie, any successful Hollywood movie follows the same script called The Hero's Journey. You look that up, you know, Joseph Campbell's wrote about it. It's in every movie. And all big part of it is you find the mentor, and the mentor teaches you the skills to overcome the final battle. And it might be a psychological battle, or it might be a real battle. But if kids now can use the power of social media, or use books, or use the external world, and find a hero or find a mentor, and then act as if, you know, I'm a big believer in these successful people. They've even done a recent study. It's like even if you act as if something is that way for 3 days, your whole brain chemistry changes. You know, so it's almost like you're the main actor in a movie. You put yourself in as that role. So if I was to act like Michael Phelps for 3 days, do you know what I mean? It has to change your mindset, because Michael Phelps isn't going to be out partying. Michael Phelps isn't, well, actually he probably did after whatever, but you know what I mean? Like if you're even any of the rugby stars or anything, you start just, well, how would they act in this situation? They're not going to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and getting up at 4 or 5 to go training. They're not going to be sitting eating, crisps and not looking after their body. Do you know what I mean? So many young kids will be looking up to Ronaldo because he's so. What age is he? We're talking about this. He's nearly 40.
he's 40 now.
40, but he's just such a disciplined, clean, professional outlook on his craft. That, like, imagine a wee kid of 14, 15 going, I'm now going to adjust my reality. And he's got that visual, or he's got that social media kind of influence for a positive way. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Is there anything? How do we move on from fasting and social media?
Have you got another question? Has everything been covered on your side?
Yeah, I got another one. You mentioned earlier about commentating with RTE.
Yes.
What sort of preparation do you do before going on TV, and how seamless was the transition from swimming going on to commentating?
That's a great question. It's a great question because Rob Heffernan is from here, and Rob and Derval and Sonia do the athletics, right? So I first of all started in 2012. I'll tell you a quick story, but just in terms of preparation. So I remember seeing them in the green room, right? And they've got these folders and they've got these post-it notes and they've got all these notes, and I'm like, what? I'm like, I kind of know who's swimming here, but I think I always remember the term about wisdom. It's something that, like, wisdom is knowing exactly what to do and say in the exact moment it presents itself, and I bring that with me even this morning to this podcast. I bring it with me to the coaching. Not that I'm not prepared. I'm prepared, but I'm not prepared in a way that's like, I was never a big guy in studying for academics and chapter notes and all. I was just like, right, and I don't have a memory where I can retrieve it, but I learned a thing years ago in terms of a memory trick. It's like, if I was to memorize, like, let's say if I was going shopping and I had to memorize 10 things to go shopping, right? It's like, how ridiculous can you make those 10 things in your mind, in your imagination, that you can't forget? So it's like, I would walk into a house, I would visualize that I was walking into my home house, and then at the door there was a big door, a door-sized carton of milk. Boom, need to get a carton of milk. Then you'd open the door. At the bottom of the stairs there's a massive loaf of bread. Boom, I need to get bread. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you'd look over into the kitchen, and instead of in the kitchen, there could be what else do you need? Let's say
giant bananas on the table
something, so the more outlandish you make it, the more your mind can recall it, you know what I mean? So I think I didn't apply that really to swimming, but like I would remember certain things, or I would remember kind of certain elements that would just appear, or they would just come up to me. Like I don't know how I was going to react with the Irish swimmers winning. You don't prepare for that because you can't. I've never been in a situation where I'm watching Mona McSharry win a bronze medal or Daniel Whiffen win a gold. You see them swim in Ireland all the time, and you're thinking, oh, that'd be great. But until you're witnessing it at the highest level, because obviously I knew what it took to get there, you can't react. So that stuff was just pure natural, pure emotion and pure natural. Preparation, you obviously know the best in the world, and because the Olympics are every 4 years, you kind of gauge what's going on,
Right.
What's going on here. But then again, after the morning heats, of every Olympics morning final, I'd go on to swimswam.com and I would gauge their summary of it, right? But then I would take 835 comments, select all, whack them into ChatGPT, and go, give me the vibe here. What's the world talking about here? What's the vibe? Why? And that would just give you that wee insight. And you know what? If it came up later on, if it came up on RTA, it would come up on RTA, and sometimes you never would have even discussed anything else. It would have just been different things. But it just gives you that wee background of going, well, this is da-da-da-da-da-da, and you're kind of just then encompassing what everyone's thinking anyway. So you're trying to relate. And then the thing that I try to do with my preparation for RT is like, and I mentioned it last night at the awards, it's, my friend was in the entertainment business in Los Angeles, and he goes, Andrew, live TV or a podcast, he says, you have to just pretend that you're sitting down with your best friends and you're describing something without cursing, basically. And that was the one thing when it was like 5, 4, 3, okay, we're live. I was like, Andrew, don't say a bad word. And especially when Mona won, I was like, can you believe it? It's almost like, oh no, you're done. Your career's done. You might make it like, oh, did you see your man cursing on TV? No, it's that's always in the back of your mind. But it's like, it's high level adrenaline. Talk about walking out to the Olympic semi-final. Getting live TV on RTE when there was, I think for Daniel's 1500, there was 1 point something million people watching. And, you know, I've kind of, no, I don't have regrets about it. I think I gave my insight before the race. You know, when we had everyone on the panel, you know, Earl, Barry, Grania, myself, we had everyone on the panel, and we were very confident because he looked so good in the 800. So we were very confident he was going to win and probably break the world record. What I didn't realise was that you don't tell the Irish public that, because then he came third. And then you look on Twitter. I didn't really look on Twitter, or X, whatever it's called. I didn't look on that kind of during the whole week, because I was like, I don't really care what people think or what they're saying or whatever. It was lovely. It was like 99% positive when I went back over it, you know, after the Olympics, and I had so many lovely compliments from people about, you know, my insight and my kind of punditry. But let me tell you, we got criticised massively for predicting Whiffen winning, you know, when he didn't. They were like, do you not learn your lesson from Sonia, whatever year it was, I don't know what it was. And it was like, but then a lot of people are angry too, you know. It's like, come on, we're just giving our insight here. We're just normal people trying to give our insight. But apart from that, but I think I gave it to what he did, you know, in terms of he was in the outside lane, he was looking around. I think I was very honest, and then when he was interviewed, he backed me up. Well, he didn't back me up. He confirmed what I was thinking about his race strategy, how he didn't see the American because the Italian guy was in his way. So I felt a wee bit like, right, well, at least I kind of covered what I thought was happening.
It's a bit of an Irish thing as well, don't you think? And I know we say this a lot about the Irish public in general, but like Whiffen did something that I can't remember any other Irish athlete ever doing before. He went out to everyone and said, I'm going to win this. So I'm going to break a world record. Right. And it's like as if the Irish public were almost saying, how dare you get going off that high horse.
Yeah, people couldn't comprehend it. Like, a lot of people couldn't. They were like, geez, he's confident, isn't he? Because
and like we'd seen this kid coming up through the ranks, right?
Yeah.
And we had an idea of what he was capable of.
Yeah.
And like even during COVID lockdowns, this guy went back into training somehow, whether it was in a small little tank out his back garden or he found ways of doing things. So we could see that level of confidence was there for a reason. But for the general public going, who is this guy Whiffen? Telling everyone he's good.
I know.
That's a bit cocky.
It's mad, isn't it? It's like a bit like a McGregor.
He didn't win.
Like a McGregor type thing as well, where
that's
it's
exactly
like he's coming out. But that's that self-belief you have to have. So but it was nice to hear Martin speak last night, you know, and you know, and you know, very, very complimentary with, you know, my insight. And then I had another friend of mine up north, Kieran May, great guy, motivational kind of speaker, and he goes, Andrew, you know, you just made it so accessible to the Irish public, like what swimming was about and what they were going through and how they were training, and just getting into that world where people were like, what? And it was funny because I heard the next day some people were like, well, you know, I think my sister was in work or something. She overheard people talking about like stroke count and stroke rates and all. And they're like, yeah, you know, he needs to pick up a stroke rate in the last 50, you know. And my sister's like, what are you talking about? You know, so they were just trying to like, but it was good, you know. And that's what Kieran said. He says, you know, you just made it so not too technical, but you made people understand. And if that's what I could do. But again, that's my fourth. I did 2012. I did 2016, I did 2021, it was supposed to be 2020, obviously, after COVID. And then I did 2024. So that's my fourth time doing it, you know. Now, the first time was with the late Bill O'Herlihy in RTE, and I didn't have a clue. But again, I just says, I'm just going to sit here and try and describe it the best I can to as if you were like my best friends and I was just sitting chatting about swimming, rather than trying to go too technical and too kind of stiff or too kind of like black and white, you know. Try to just bring a wee bit of emotion, and this is what they do, or this is what, or you might have a wee story, you might have a wee snippet of information about their training or who they train with, or you know. So it's it's just a pity it's every 4 years, but that's the magic of the Olympics. Just that's why we all wait, and that's why it's the Mount Olympus. That's why it's the pinnacle of sport, because you have to put it all together on the day. You could be winning Europeans, Commonwealths, you know, world championships, but when you get to the Olympics and everybody's watching, you know, it's it adds that pressure. But those are the best in the world that can handle it and then perform. So
you say there about, like, you know, when everyone's watching, and you told a funny story last night at the awards about when you were in Dublin
Yeah,
at the Europeans, and what your mindset was and what your coach was telling you that you needed to do, and how you were so focused on what you needed to do. Can you elaborate on that story again for
Yeah, real quick. So I was like, I was swimming great in college that semester, and it was 2003. So the Irish or the European Short Course Championships were being held in Dublin. Massive event for Ireland. The new 50-metre pool in Blanchardstown, the National Aquatic Centre, had just been built.
It was the first international swimming event in the country, actually, wasn't it, at the time?
Yeah, everything sold out, so the NAC, both sides, just packed, so I'm swimming great, swim the IM, break the Irish record, make a semi-final or final, I think. On like the first day, 100 breasts, I think I break the Irish record again, go 59 point, just confident, going in. I had long hair, I know you can't imagine it, but I had long hair, but I remember like meeting my mum. Was it the day before or the day off? I can't remember. But anyway, I was getting stuff out of the boot of the car. My mum. Now, how are you feeling now, Andrew? Yeah. Oh, good. She's from Galway. This is my best Galway accent. So, well, the whole country's going to be watching. And I'm like, thanks, Mum, and are you gonna win? Are you gonna perform? And I'm like, Mum, will you just stop it? The no filter just says it to me. And I'm like, Mum, she's just talk about adding pressure right there. Uncle Tommy's coming down now, and Uncle everyone's coming down to watch. I'm like, ugh. So, but that was a magical evening, magical.
But your coach had written something down on a piece of paper.
He was staying in town. Yeah, he was staying in the Westbury, and then he had. I remember, I've still got it. I've still got the envelope with the W from the Westbury on it, and inside he just wrote enjoy, and then he wrote on a piece of paper, he wrote 4, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, and that's my stroke count. That's how many strokes I would take a length. Just a wee mental reminder. I knew exactly what to do, but it was just his way of saying that. And then at the bottom is like, enjoy and fight the good. This is what we always used to say. This is one of our mottos in Tennessee. It was like, fight the good fight, finish the race, and keep the faith. That was our phrase, So we wrote that: fight the good fight, finish the race, and keep the faith. And then at the very bottom, bring the crowd to their feet. So of course, when I hit the wall and I turned to my right, and the NAC was going mental because I was 7th with 50 meters to go.
Excuse me for interrupting classes. Can the following students please go to Mr. Hennessy's room for the vaccinations? Johnny Lehan, Shane O'Flaherty, Daniel Morrissey, Sam Bird.
What's your name?
Yeah.
Mark Kelly, Tom Kelly, Paul Kelly.
What time is it?
Connor Dwan, Charlie Denson.
You get a few parts out of this.
I think I will fit in too. I think it's going to be fabulous.
Yeah. This is the best one yet.
Absolutely.
Michael Halley, Charlie Horan.
All these boys are on the firing line.
Is that from vaccinations?
Yeah, but good few of them are 50 and they're gone.
They're all gone. Anti-vax, all right.
Oh, what was the question again?
So it was the.
You were talking about-
So just.
Oh yeah, you turned in 7th place.
So turned in 7th place, way back. But I also knew I'd done hard work to bring it home, and then but I didn't know where I'd be. Obviously, because breaststroke, you're looking forward. You can't really, until you're on the turn, you can't really see where you are. So it was just head down and finished, and then it turned and.
Pause to the Angelus. She conceived of the Holy Spirit. And Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with
Love
thee. Add
that in. Because that's what I said on the last 50. The evangelist.
That's class.
Full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb.
Recording, or is he saying that every day?
A different guest teacher every day,
different
basically.
Pray for us, O Holy Mother of God, that we may be worthy of the promises of Christ. Before we beseech thee, O Lord, thy faith into our hearts. We to whom the incarnation of Christ thy Son was made known by the mist of the angel, may by his passion cross be brought the glory of his resurrection. We ask this through Christ our Lord.
Amen. And so there we go. So so by the grace of God, I got home on that last 50, and turned, and the place was on their feet. The whole place was going nuts, and I was like, huh? And I kind of turned around, kept looking around, and the Ian Edmund, the guy that was swimming for Great Britain, he had won and broke the European record, 2:05 or something. And then I was silver, and I just seen it, and I just jumped up and celebrated. Yeah, it was a good memory. Brings back, yeah. Yeah, it was just perfect for Dublin, wasn't it? It was just nuts. Like, it was nuts. Yeah, it was almost like a dream. It was a dream.
To bring the crowd to their feet as well, you know. So
yeah, it was beautiful.
you can only imagine what your mum's house was like at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I can remember watching the live footage of
well, they were there.
Michael Carruth's house when he was boxing.
Yeah.
At the Olympics that time, like, you know, there's the split screen.
Yeah.
You know,
I love all that when they do that with RT during the Olympics.
Yeah.
They split. They show the home pub
And
or something.
You must imagine that's what was going on with in Mona's house and in Daniel Whiffin's house and Ellen Walsh's house.
Yes,
you know, like that happens on a very rare occasion, but when it does, like, it's one of those moments like that has to be captured on screen, you know.
Oh, it's pure bliss, and you can see it from the community, you know, whether it be just the swimming community or the actual location community. I went up to Mona's homecoming in Ballyshannon, and oh my goodness, it was just unbelievable. Kids were flying around, get autographs, and Mona arrived, you know, in an open top car, and I was just the buzz, you know. So sport is magic. It's pure magic, and it does extend out. And I think swimming's even more magic, you know, because everybody understands the discipline and the commitment. And it's a lonely sport as well, you know. You're in there, and it's only you versus.
There's no hiding, sure.
Yeah, there's no hiding. Yeah. It's you versus you when you get up on that block, and it's. You know, you're against Kronos, the god of time. You know, you're just like, tick tock, let's go. You know, dive in and go. So it's, it's magical.
It's mad. Have you got another question?
I think it might have all been answered.
Okay, so I'll ask one there. Sorry. So you've been in a great position to be able to represent Ireland at international level and Northern Ireland, right, at Commonwealth Games, which in itself is a massive achievement as well, right? So you represented Northern Ireland in Manchester and Melbourne.
So my first one was 98 in Malaysia. Then 2002 Manchester, and then Melbourne 2006.
3 times.
And then Delhi.
Wow.
4 times, yeah. And then Delhi was the one that I just left Tennessee and I was working with a new coach, Dave Salo, and there's 27 Olympians on the team. So this was like a pro team. So I arrived out there, and I'm looking to my left, and there's Rebecca Soni, Jessica Hardy, Os Malui. I can keep going. Who else? Eric Chanteau, Kazuki Kitajima. These guys are world record holders, Olympic gold medalists, just the best of the best, right? So talking about the hero's journey, it was like I had to step into character pretty fast. And I remember, and even the coach was just this renowned coach, and he was different because he wasn't one of these coaches that made you swim up and down, you know, for 80,000 meters a week. It was 6 sessions a week, 6 2-hour sessions, but every session was really quality, really race pace stuff, you know, high quality. You know, we were all pretty late in our swimming careers. You know, I was 27 or 28, I think. No, 29, I think I went over there. Yeah, about 2009, 2010. And suddenly I was like, what's this training all about? I remember after the first session, I put my hands up on the railing, up on the steps to get out, and I couldn't even get out. I was so wrecked. And Dave Salo comes up to me and just leans down. He goes, "You didn't train like that in Tennessee, did you?" As if like, you're ready for this. You better be ready for this. But every day you'd be looking over going, "Oh, this Kitajima, this guy won 2 golds in Athens and 2 golds in Beijing in my events. We Japanese ninja, you know, arriving into the pool in a Bentley with 5 guys as entourage, and I'm driving my Ford Taurus with like the empty light on and my petrol for the last 6 weeks, thinking, am I even going to make it to the pool here? You know, so it was just this, you know, duality of, you know, the swimmers had made money and stuff, and I was always like, you know, I love the Rocky kind of underdog feeling where I had nothing. I was like, yeah, I don't care if my mattress is on the floor. I love this stuff. Let's go. You know, there was no bells and whistles. It was just hardcore training. But talk about, stepping into character and talking about, and then talking about getting ready. But that time when I went to Delhi for the Commonwealth Games for Northern Ireland, I was like, I'm winning this. I was so confident. I was pushing 31 highs with 15 strokes long course. Nelson was just like, Andrew. I was like, I know, Nelson. I know. We're doing this. 2 days before the 200 breaststroke, I'm at the pool and just started sweating for no reason. I'm just like, what's going on here? And then I started feeling, I was like pale, and I was like, what's going on here? Next minute, puking, diarrhea, lost like 7 or 8 kgs with Deli belly. Oh. Done. Couldn't even. I was just like a shell of myself. And Nelson's like, you gotta still swim. I'm like, Nelson, I can't swim. I can't even warm. I'm done, man. I'm done. No, still swim. So me going from 2008 when I went 210, I think I went like 216 or something, you know. And everybody on the outside doesn't know that. Everyone's like, nah. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to come back and go, hey, I had Deli belly, everybody. I did, you know.
And as an athlete, you don't get to say that either.
You don't.
Do you?
No. You just
like
sure. No, he's done so. Sure, he's finished up. Sure, he's look at that 216. What's he doing? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But no one actually knows the deep stories and this. Not that I talk about this. Probably the 3rd or 4th time I've ever talked about it. But it's like, but it's you know when you know, and then it's also like it's something very similar to what I read the other day. It's called a snapback. Right? Snap back. It's like when you're in flow state of life and everything's going well, the universe goes, oh, really? Watch this. Boom. So this is exactly what happened Friday. Yeah. I was like in a different world. Obviously 9-day water fast, right? I was just like, I cannot wait to go to Cork. And it all kind of manifested. We were like doing it no matter what. We didn't really we had a plan, but you know, and you had mentioned the awards and stuff, but like most people have this stuff set and appointments and scheduled and ready to go. Me and Mick are very similar. We're related. I think we worked out we're second cousins. And everyone's like, yep, you definitely are. I've lost my phone twice this weekend. I'm running around, you know, I'm like, you know, everything, instead of just, you know, being right here, right now, I'm all over the place. But, where was I going with that? There you go. This is the first time I've kind of snapback. So the snapback is a thing I read the other day. It's like when you're in flow state and everything's going well, the universe is going to give you a snapback to test you. And let me tell you, Friday was a test. At one stage, I was like, am I just going to go get the train back to Dublin here and we'll just do this another time? Yeah. And then I went, nah, I'm coming down. So there was a bit of a car issue, but anyway, I ended up getting the train from Portlaoise. And I was just sitting on the train. I just put my headphones on. I was just like, sort everything out. I kept saying to you, let's put it all. Tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow's a brand new day. We can create anything we want, and we did. But yeah, the snapback is real. So just to anyone listening, when things are flowing, the universe is something's gonna come out of nowhere to give you a wee test just to see how resilient you are, to see if you really are what you're doing, or are you really living your truth. Yeah, you know. So I don't know if that was the kind of question.
You do have 2 options in that scenario, don't you? Like you say, oh God, right? Yep. That's me. That's done. Or you just say, right, okay, I need to step up here.
Yeah, let's solve the next small problem. Yeah. And if you keep solving the small problems.
And what seems harder to do, 99% ends up being the best option.
Yeah.
To get through it.
Yeah. And it's like ripping the Band-Aid, ripping the plaster off. It's gonna be that one moment that it's gonna be even what you talked about with your injury, you know, it's that initial, we have to pop this knee back into place, or you have to do this right now. And you know, and the opportunity will present itself, and it presents itself in so many different ways. And if you ignore it, or you think I'll deal with that later, I'll park that later, it's gonna come back even crazier and hit you even crazier. So the moment of discomfort or the moment of challenge is when to face it and not put it off, I think, because so many times in my career and so many times in life I've gone, sure, no, I'll get back, boom, and it comes back and you're like, why didn't I just face it right then, you know? Yeah. But then that's human nature. I think that's what we're all here to do, is to evolve and you know, and it wasn't life-threatening. You know, when you actually take a step back, my sister was raging at me. She was just like, I can't believe this, and did you not? And I'm like, I know. And now today, she's a different person than she was Friday, because it was in the moment and all the emotions are all riled up, and you know, and they're only there to help. But it's like, you know, it's that awareness of, right, okay, come on, mate, you're 44.
Excuse me for interrupting classes. So this is my final introduction regarding the vaccinations. Could the Following students from 4th year,
No one's getting away from
go
it.
to Mr. Hennessy's office. Daniel Collins, Louis Hepper, James Herrick, James Kennefick, Neil Lynch, Greg McCarthy, Sean DC.
Do you have to get vaccinated, no? Or do you?
And James Chooch.
We did.
5th years then, Jack
just
Hurley,
keep going ahead.
Kevin McCarthy, David Nolan, Jeremy O'Connor, Cormac O'Connor, Jack Ryan and Tiernan Toomey. And then the 6 years, Ronan Bradley, Daniel Burke, Conor Keane, Rian McFarland O'Shea, Shay Minogue, Oscar O'Hare, Ryan O'Donoghue, Sam O'Leary and Oisin Tobin. And finally then, could classes 4D and 4E go to the canteen at the break in classes? Thank you.
That's you?
Yeah.
It's you? Okay.
So
Yeah.
we'll go for, you said, come on, you're 44 or something like that.
Yeah,
Let's go
yeah.
from there.
So so come on, 44 type, where it's like, but you never do stop learning though. That's the famous phrase, Kaizen. It's constant and never-ending improvement, and if you can apply that to sport or apply that to life, so I think when you can take those lessons, or you can take those little obstacles in life and learn from them, and as long as they're not, and I think the bigger the obstacle, it's the bigger the kind of, not warning, but it's the bigger insight into change.
Yeah.
Something's obviously happened in order for you to look at something differently, or change, or to evolve. And then I think the evolution of the human consciousness is key in terms of like, where are we? Where are we as a human? Where are we as a community? Where are we as a sports team? Where are we as a county, as a nation? Like, where are we as the world? Like, what are we doing? I'm always fascinated by geopolitics. I'm like, what are we doing? Why are these people, what's going on in the world? Why are these people dying? Why is there hunger here? Why is there homelessness here? Do you know? It's scary sometimes, but I think if you work on yourself, then the external world revolves around that and changes to match your internal world. And I know when I'm floating on, when I'm deep into a water fast and everything is just aligned, my external world becomes so aligned. Opportunities come out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? These things happen, those opportunities. I know this weekend was amazing, and I know this will lead on to something. So I know that, like, when you're in that mindset, Michael Jackson said it, man in the mirror. It's like literally your external world will reflect your internal mind. I'm a big believer in that. When things go wrong, one thing goes wrong, another thing goes wrong, another thing goes wrong. It's just like,
And then you keep thinking, what else can go wrong?
Yeah,
and then
and then it does.
something wrong, then it's just about popping up through the ether or something
That's
like
right.
that. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I totally...
It's challenge,
seen
just to see. Are you committed? Are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Are you going to say what you did? Are you going to say what you wanted to do?
Yeah. So when you represented Northern Ireland, did you feel that there was a difference between representing Northern Ireland at the Commonwealth Games and representing Ireland at Olympics or Europeans, or anything? Was there ever a difference, or was it just another competition and you're swimming internationally or whatever?
Yeah, I felt the more of a chance in the Commonwealths. Less countries, obviously, still very high level of swimming countries. All of the GB, all of Great Britain, obviously, but they're individual nations. Like, so it's England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland. But then you had South Africa, Australia. You still had some big Canada.
Nations,
You still had some serious big hitters, especially Australia, just so dominant in world swimming for so many years. So it wasn't to be messed around with, and it gave you that vibe, and it was great to have experienced Kuala Lumpur in 1998 before Beijing, or before Sydney in 2000, because I was like, it's the village, it's the style of getting in and getting onto the buses and the food hall and the accommodation and being away and training camps. So that definitely helped me. But yeah, just in terms of the competition, I just knew there would be certain times, Manchester, I think I was like 4th or 5th twice. People always ask me what my result was, and some people know my splits and my results more than me, and then someone's like, would you come in the Olympics? I'm like, I think was it 11th or 10th? I know it's 10th or 11th. I don't really know. I just know I missed the final by point nothing.
It's 11th, just
11th, yeah. So, in terms of difference, no, but just same amount of, pride, and,
And you know them.
But I do have a very strong connection to Ireland, obviously, because my mum is Galway, my dad's Sligo, and you know, and I never really got into politics and stuff, you know. But I have no, you know, there's no Catholic, Protestant, Northern Ireland for me. It's just we're all. I just feel this whole island, north and south, is just some mystical place that we have no idea, and I just love it. I absolutely love it. And I lived in America for 13 years, and everyone's like, why did you come home? And I'm like, because have you been to Donegal? Have you been down to Kerry? Have you been out to Kinsale? Have you seen these places? Kinsale, these areas are just like beautiful.
Yeah.
Can't get that in Tennessee is nice, you know, in the Smoky Mountains and all, but there's certain parts of Ireland you turn a corner. That was my first time down this way. We went down to Ballybunion and then down into Tralee and all, and down through and then out to Skull, right?
Yeah.
Down to Skull.
Nice Skull.
You stayed, you know, I was in a camper van with my buddy and we just pulled into the harbour and we met the best people. All these lads playing trad and all, and it was just magical, you know, and then down to seeing Dan Sweeney out in Kinsale and then drove up, and I was like, I would do that. That's what I said last night. I'd love to have a mobile says staying in hotels. I'd love to have my own van and just be like, right, I'm coming down and staying with Dolphin for a week and training, and then going off to somewhere else and helping them, you know, and coaching and training and stuff. And so yeah, just a strong affiliation just with the country. And I think we are a nation of you know, workers and fighters as well. You know, I love it because I met Prince. What's his name?
Prince Nassim?
No. No, the dude from Monaco.
Oh, Prince Albert, is it?
Prince Albert.
Yeah.
So we were swimming. There's a series every summer called the Mare Nostrum, and one of the competitions is in Monaco, right? So I went over with that pro team I was with from LA, and there was a guy in the team who was South African, and he used to swim with Prince Albert's wife, Princess Charlene or Charlize or whatever her name is. She used to be a backstroker for South Africa.
Really?
Yeah. Big wide shoulders on her. Yeah. So next minute he's like, here, we're obviously out, you know, after the whole competition. I think it was the last leg of it. So all the swimmers were going out, you know, and going to the casino in Monaco and all. And I'm out of my depth. These guys have got like loads of money and they're just like gambling and all. I'm just looking around going, it's great, lads, you know, Ferraris and all parked outside. And then next minute the South African guy's like, here, we're going to this place here. Come on, we're going to this place. So we all leave, not having a clue what's going on. We all just go up, and we go up these stairs, and there's just this massive bouncer. And he goes, private party. There's a private event, private party. And then the South African guy says something to him, and then next minute, Princess Charlotte, I hope it's Charlene. I should know this. Anyway.
Charlene. It's a popular name in
He's
South
going to
Africa.
look up, pull it up there, as they say on one of those podcasts. So she comes to the thing, and I'm looking, going, what? She says, come on in. And there's nobody else in this club.
Charlene, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, good, Charlene, yeah. There's nobody else in this club apart from Prince Albert, her, and a few of their friends. And I'm like, is this Prince Albert? And she goes, do you want to meet him? I'm like, yeah. So I've got a photo somewhere in it, but I meet them, and I'm in a grey suit, and I'm just like, is this? And he asked me where am I from, because his mum was Irish, right?
Was she?
Yeah, she's the famous actress. What's her name? Look up Prince Albert's mum there. What's her,
Grace.
yeah, Grace thingy.
Princess Grace, that's his mum,
Yeah. So she had whatever Irish connection, right? No, not Louise of Sim. No. Prince Albert's mum. What's her name? Oh, I should.
Grace Kelly.
Yes. So there's that connection, right? So he goes to me, where are you from? I says, Ireland. And he says to me, keep up the Irish fighting spirit. That's what he said to me. You know, and you always see that old motto, the fists up, you know. So we do have that warrior, spirit. So it's so back to your question about Northern Ireland. No, I just, not that I see it as one. Of course, there's all the history of everything. Yeah.
But it was just interesting at the start, like you know, you said that you didn't really realize it, and then other people were pointing it out. But I suppose you grew up in that You know, it's not something that just happened all of a sudden.
It's
And
dark.
was-
Like there's more stuff. Obviously, the more stuff that comes out, and the more shows, and then you
know.
hear all this. You know that show that was on there was it Netflix, Say Nothing, and all about the informants and the army and just all the inner workings. And it's just and I ended up dating a girl from West Belfast, and she's just like, "Nah, you have no idea, man."
Yeah,
Like the police wouldn't even go into West Belfast.
that's right.
Like she said, if anything ever happened, you would have to go to the IRA council. So if somebody robbed or if you were in an incident or something, you would never call the police. You would go in the IRA you'd speak to the boys and they'd all be sitting there and they would sort it out.
Wow.
And they would control, there'd be no drug, they would control the whole area where it was like, it's us versus them.
And
but then someone was talking about the other day where it was
down
like,
here in south, down you see,
yeah.
like, you know.
But then the media, you see, it's just this, it's, and then you look back and you're like, really? Over, obviously it's Catholic, Protestant, but it's like, but then it's still going on around the world in terms of like, oh no, you're this, and well, you're that, so I don't like you. What? Come on. So hopefully, I don't know if we'll ever experience, but I think we're all in a good place now, and I think sport, like it just shows our sport, Whiffen's from just outside Lurgan, I know born in
I think two
born
sports
in England, but like
particular,
raised here and lived here, and all from here, and just there's no and
like swimming and rugby in particular, because Northern Ireland or Ulster and all of the other regions in Irish swimming are all under the one umbrella now.
That's right.
And then you've got rugby, which is all under the one umbrella as well.
That's right.
Very unified.
Yes.
Governing bodies, I suppose, but like competitive wise, all unified.
That's right.
And then you look at soccer, you've got League of Ireland and the Football
the one
League
up
of
there.
Ireland.
I know it should all be.
You know,
I always
and
think
then
that they all should be incorporated into like even the Scottish League and stuff. There's that because it's smaller.
Yeah.
And sure, we talked about that with swimming, even in terms of we're basing a lot of our performance pathways based on systems that do work, but they've also worked because they've got a huge catchment area. They've got how many times our numbers? Crazy numbers,
Absolutely.
England and stuff. And then with performance centres and stuff, and then it's like, right, well, we have to kind of adjust it because we're kind of small here,
and we're funded differently as well, like, aren't we? So
it's that. So it does go into different elements of life, but overall, proud to be just proud to be able to just take, was proud to be able to just take my swimming to another level, and then very proud to be able to. I'm very grateful to be able to give back to the sport in terms of coaching, still be involved, and then help anyway with the media, with the Olympics and stuff. So it's been a beautiful journey, and thank you, obviously. And I don't know if we're near the end or if we're coming to the end, but thank you guys for thinking about me and reaching out. And I said that was definitely going to be a thing I did, no matter what. I think at one stage I thought it was yesterday morning or something. But then I was like, no, but sure, they wouldn't be in school on a Sunday unless they're hardcore studying for something,
Well, like you've spent the whole weekend on poolside up in Dolphin Swimming Club, right? And for me, it was a pleasure to bring you down, and I'll bring you down every weekend if I could, because just the insight that you're able to provide to all of my young chargers above and to all my senior guys as well, like David, is invaluable, right? But just that energy and everything that you gave to everyone, and you can see the grassroots coming right through the system again. So looking at swimming in Ireland as a whole, and even on a greater context, high performance sport in Ireland, like, what do you see the next 5 to 10 years looking like, because you have the success now of Mona, Ellen and Daniel Whiffen?
Yeah, 100%. There was definitely a big surge there, wasn't there? You couldn't get into a swimming club. You even said yesterday you had 2.5 year waiting list.
2.5 year waiting list
wild
in our place. Like, we've bought a new pool and we can't find a site to put it in. We will eventually.
50-metre pool, yeah.
So like, we know that we need to grow, but like in the greater context of Irish swimming, what do you see the next 5 to 10 years?
I think it's definitely the education part, and then and I'm always a big believer in that. There's a phrase I can't remember, there was a certain actor, I can't remember who it was, but he got into helping young aspiring actors develop their craft, and he used the phrase, send the elevator back down. Once you've reached the top, send it back down with all your wisdom and knowledge and all your things and your tips and your tricks. And I wish there was a few more swimmers that were involved in swimming.
Yeah.
But then again, it's just the brutality of the sport that when most people finish, they're like, I never want to swim again.
Yeah.
Because of the training, you know yourself, it's intense. So even when I go for a swim now, I'm like if someone gave me a set, I'd be like, I'm just going to put on my fins and just enjoy myself here. I'm not going to go 10 200s on anything. You can try your best, you know. Everyone's like, do you not want to do masters? Do you not want to do a triathlete? I'm like, no, I'm good. Thanks, you know. But I see it definitely developing the, you know, not only learning the stuff is in level 2 or level 1, level 2, level 3, getting your qualifications. There has to be a real element of learning how to communicate with because we're all human beings at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You got to be able to communicate with whatever age and be able to explain it so they get it, you know. And I think that's a big gap, because some people that get into swim coaching, and it is the grassroots now. I kept telling all the wee kids yesterday, I was like, you're the future of this club, you know. And they're looking at me, I was like, we gotta get this right today. Well, not right today, but we got to work on this today. So, you know, you're going to be the future of this club in a few years. You know, your parents are going to get up at 5 a.m. to bring you swimming. They're all looking at me going, what? I didn't sign up for this. How's my backstroke? You know? But, yeah, it's getting it right, being able to communicate it right. And then, of course, now we talked about it earlier with the smartphones, and the amount of information and education out there is huge. So you could really immerse yourself in it. And I think we're all going to learn from that. And, of course, the energy is sent back down with the likes of Daniel's story and Mona's story and Alan's story. They're not like, oh, you were picked from this age and you were perfectly like, they've gone through tough times in their time. You know, Mona was being asked to join the National Centre Dublin, and then she ended up at the University of Tennessee where I was, and then Daniel I think he was there for a bit and it didn't really work out, and he went to Loughborough. And it's like, how do you can't even plan stuff like that. So there's a massive amount of magic involved, isn't there? But I also think if the person themselves is the hero in their journey, is the main actor in their movie, and they know what that end scene is, no matter what happens, they're going to create that. That's going to be their reality tunnel. They're going to create it if it means them, you know, breaking their ankle over here. But then that time out of the water ended up meeting this person, that person introduced them to that person, and now they're training there. You know what I mean? It's too crazy to backtrack and go, oh, well, if you just did this, and this, it's going to be this. But I think if we can help each other, and we just had that Irish Coaches Association there, that was great. So that's like a representation for coaches in Ireland, working along with Swim Ireland, not against Swim Ireland, in terms of just being able to develop these coaches and then give them that soundboard, give them that advice, give them that communication that they can reach out. And I think once we build that out, and it's not us versus them, not only in terms of, you know, the bigger organizations in anything, it's collaboration at all levels. So it's, instead of like, you know, up north we have Ards where I swam, but then I was end up coaching for Bangor, and everyone's like, how can you coach for Bangor if you swam for Ards? I'm like, because I'm still helping swimmers. Yeah. And it's not like, you have to take the ego out of it. The ego just sits there and goes, no, well you swam for them, so you're not allowed to coach for them, and you're not, you know, that's the ego, where you're stuck in this 3D.
It's an Irish colloquial thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost stems from the GA, like
you lived here, burning the porn there.
This is your parish. That's who you're representing. You can't move to the other parish because they happen to be way better. And it transfers to soccer, and it transfers to swimming in particular, right? Yeah. Because especially when you look at Irish swimming, you've got 1 or 2 or maybe 3 or 4 in the city clubs. Yep. So you're with one, and you're with one because that's the club your parents started you off with.
That's it, and it's all... Like I said at the start, swimming picks you, you know, and there's times where I've just, you know, joked, and I'm just like, just leave it up to the swimming gods. Leave it up to the swimming gods. If I'm 0.1 of a difference and I didn't make, that's the way it is. You know, you can't be like, oh, well, if I did it, you drive yourself crazy. You know, you could apply that to every aspect of life. Absolutely. We are all sitting here in this room because we've all taken so many left turns in our life, and we've all taken so many right turns in our life, right? If you add up the thousands or hundreds of thousands of turns in a car or in a corridor, or the amount of times you've left your keys and that's changed your day, or the amount of times you've met someone and then you've gone and done something different, how can we all sit here in this present moment and say we're not all supposed to be here in this present moment because there's no other option? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if something could have happened on Friday that I wouldn't even be sitting here. Do you
Absolutely.
know, something.
Yeah.
You know, you could have had a throat infection, or you could have been ill, and this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, missed the day
So
or
it's
something.
like we're all supposed to be here because we're all supposed to be here. So it's like path of no resistance.
Yeah.
You know.
Great point. That's a really good way to finish it with, actually. Yeah.
So if we're meant to
Sliding
finish, we're meant to
doors
finish. If we're not, we're not.
Sliding doors moment.
Yep.
So have you got anything else to ask, lads? Or
I don't think so.
No, I'm okay.
No. It's great, Andrew. Thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you
You're
very
very
much,
welcome.
Andrew.
You're very welcome, gentlemen. Thank
it's been
you.
a pleasure hosting you inside in the school in Presentation Brothers College.
It's been great. Thank you.
And thanks
for
to the
having
lads
me.
as well, lads. You were fantastic. And to
Great.
Teddy on sound.
Great. It's a great area to be involved in. You know,
Yeah.
great area.
Yeah.
Because it's only going to grow. And like I said, you can take clips from anything now. You can take clips from this. You can expand this. You can put it into a written form. You know what I mean? There's just so many things that can branch out. It's not just back in the day where you did an interview and that was it.
Yeah, and you
You
can
know what
mess
I mean?
up. Yeah.
So it's it's class. Keep it up, fellas, if you're getting into the media side, you know. And then in like 2036, I'll be like, RTA, bring in the lads here.
We'll have your quotes posted on the wall and you agree underneath it. Yeah. All right.
stuff.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
guys.
Brilliant.
All right.
Thank you. That's good.